Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
I am here. The following episode. I still have to get used to that.
Well, you know, we had a
slogan
100+ episodes with the old one. In fact, I noticed that the podcast description on like iTunes and such still bears the old verbiage. So I'll need to do some updating on that front. But yeah, you know, I think we've established some sense of normalcy. I am back home after what feels like a lifetime away from it. I have been probably in my actual apartment for like 1 week out of the entirety of August, and we were recording this on the final day in August. So it's been a, you know, a fun, exciting month of vacations and stuff like that. I figured by the time I got back home, I'd be starting a job soon. Unfortunately, things have not worked out the way I hoped they would. So for now, I'm just free floating through life. But you know, it is very good to be home. I'm not recording in a room the size of a closet like I was last time.
He has air conditioning.
I've got air conditioning. It's glorious. You know, it's just good. It's good. You know, and so we're basically back more or less. You know,
and
we're a little behind the times still, but
that Colton Brown is living off of this podcast. His sustenance comes from this podcast. So if there's no better plug than to say Colton's sustenance comes from this podcast, it's this plug right here. Donate to our Patreon account so Colton can eat.
Save my life. My life is in your hands. No, it's not that dire. I wouldn't say no to that, if we're being honest. I wouldn't say no to any money being thrown my way. I'm not against charity, but I do have other means to survive for the time being, fortunately. But, you know, it's a dream that this podcast would actually be profitable at some point, but that is not the case. We do it for fun, and that's okay. That's fine. But patreon.com/watchofyourrepeat if you do want to help out.
We want to change our way of life.
Change our fortunes.
Exactly.
But anyway, yeah, home sweet home, etc. It's good to be back. We're talking The Green Knight on this episode, and oh my god, it's been a long time coming for this one. Obviously, the movie itself probably came out close to a month ago as well. So unfortunately, neither of us have seen it super recently, but you know, it's one of those things. I didn't want to record in inferior conditions. I wanted to wait until I was home sweet home and be able to do an episode like this justice, to do a film like this justice, because this is a film, I think, with a lot to unpack, a lot of tantalizing details, and I'm excited to talk about it. Obviously, it's one that you particularly have been looking forward to for ages now.
I've been so excited for years. Literally years I've been excited about this movie.
You know, once upon a time, we could have seen this movie last year, you know, in an alternate version of reality without a pandemic, you know, but here we are. We did finally get it. We weren't like the unfortunate bastards that live in the United Kingdom where they pulled the theatrical release like a week before it was supposed to come out there because things were getting so bad. It did, in fact, come out in the United States, and we did, in fact, see it, and we will, in fact, talk about it, and I am, in fact, very excited to do so. So, you know, like I said, lots to unpack there. And so I think that maybe just leads us into the next thing, which is a fun fact, perhaps, about The Green Knight, if Andrew is so kind to share with listeners.
Yes. So this is sort of from the hip fun fact. So
shooting from the hip. All right, what do you got?
So The Green Knight is based off of a Arthurian tale called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And it was first printed it was printed in 1839, but the manuscript that the story was printed off of was from the late 14th century. And we know that this thing exists. We have the living manuscript. The only thing that's ever printed of this work is due to this guy called let's see here if I can find it. It's from the Cotton Library, which is now part of the British Library. And Robert Bruce Cotton had this extensive collection of I guess antiquity or works of antiquity that he collected way back when. I mean, this guy lived in, bear with me, like I said, I'm shooting from the hip here. Robert Bruce Cotton lived in 1570 and died in 1631. Right? So this guy, I mean, he's from a long time ago. Anyways, he was part of Parliament, and he collected old works of literature. And it was the basis for the British Library, which is pretty cool. And he has collections from Augustus's time, Caligula's time, Clydius's time, Cleopatra's time. I mean, he's got like all these different works from all these different people's times of which they lived. And anyway, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is part of this guy's collection, which was the basis of the British Library. And the manuscript for Sir Gawain and the Green Knight came from the 1300s, which is just it's an old work of work of art. I mean, it's a piece of literature and it's huge, but in and of itself, it's a work of art. And it's incredible that something like this can. It's incredible that the human nature, it soars past time. You know what I mean? Like the things that are the things that resonate in the story in the film are things that resonate in the manuscript from the 1300s, and they're just very human. You know what I mean? And those things, it doesn't matter how old it is, it's still relevant. And I think that's I don't know if I find that uniquely fascinating. I don't know if that's apparently according to the Wikipedia page anyways, J.R.R. Tolkien, Simeon Artemage, and others have done stage adaptations of this. And apparently it's been appreciated through time. But it's just, something that old is still relevant because of people. You know what I mean? It's just human nature and this, I don't know. I just think that's super cool. A lot of things change with the passage of time, but people don't. And people are still people.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I think that's cool anyways. I think that's a fun fact. So
no, I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? imagine writing something, and obviously we don't know who specifically wrote this particular poem.
Yeah,
but
nobody knows. It's
something,
totally anonymous.
Imagine writing something today, and in hundreds and hundreds of years, people are reading that and getting value out of it. Like that's, you can't really fathom that sort of
almost 1,000
something
years.
Transcending that. Yeah, right. I mean,
almost 1,000 years.
Stupid amount of time. Yeah.
And
crazy.
What's crazier is the manuscripts lasted that long. You can go into the British Library and see the manuscript from the 1300s, which would be 14th century, so it'd be the 1300s, which is just fucking bonkers. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It was written on fucking cotton. It was written on the same thing on my denim jeans. It's fucking crazy. So that's, I think that's incredibly fascinating. I think it's incredibly fascinating, A, that it survived, B, that it's still relevant. And, it just speaks volumes of like the human capacity to make art relevant. You know what I mean? Like art is timeless. So I don't know. I just overwhelmed by it. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, you can get caught up in that sort of thing of just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Like what's life like back then? Such to the point where
you look at it like up until like 200 years ago, human progress has been very, very, very slow. Sure. Right? Like, we're very much the same people that lived thousands of years ago. It's just with the invention of the computers and internet and everything else, we're like it moves so fast now. But for a long time, I mean, like I said, we haven't, like, humans have not evolved as fast as technology, right? So we're still the same people that lived thousands of years ago. You know, it's I don't know, it's a weird mind piece, but it's it's so cool. And then, like, if you Google Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, you can pull up the first page of the manuscript, and you can see the art and the way that it was written, and that's fucking incredible. That thing has lived almost 1,000 years. Just fucking crazy.
Yeah, no, it is mind bending if you try to really think about it deeply, you know, and it's not the only thing, obviously, that is kind of in that sort of status, but it's rare. I think it's exceedingly rare for something to be as old as it is to, you know, still be in, you know, kind of the modern sphere of art and literature and things that we look at. I don't know. It's really cool. I mean, bottom line is it's really cool. We're obviously fans of really cool shit here on the podcast, and, you know, to think that something, you know, this old gets a modern adaptation and it still holds weight, it still holds the value that it once did. And you know, obviously the movie is not a 1-to-1 screen adaptation, but from what I can tell, I think it hews fairly close in many aspects. I think the main arc of the film, or the principle of the film, or the, you know, the point of the manuscript is the point of the film. I think that's what I'm getting at. I think, I think it largely holds true. The themes are still persistent from page to screen. Yeah, and I think so.
That's incredible. That's so cool. How do you not get excited about that?
I don't know. You know, you got to get excited about things. You know, like, you know, otherwise, what are you doing with yourselves?
What are you
doing?
Like, that's incredible.
You got to get excited about shit like that. I got so excited I just yanked my headphone cable out. That's how excited I am. I gotta plug it in. Yeah, dude.
Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. It gets people excited. Well, most people, or some people excited.
Well, the movie, on the other hand, may not get everyone excited, and we'll obviously be talking about that. But it got us excited. I'll give the listeners.
Got me real excited. I bought a board game that I haven't fucking played. I got an RPG game that I haven't played with anybody. Well, nobody wants to play with me.
Fortunately, I've let you down on that front, so I gotta swallow that. But I will say I'm more apt to play it after watching the movies. So you know, if we can make it work, we can make it work. We'll see what happens. Anyway, we got lots to talk about in this episode. We can muse all day, all night, in fact, about the cool shit that is the poem, the epic poem Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. But we'll talk the Green Knight film adaptation in some time. We do have a lot of news on tap. We loaded up the news so that we could kind of, you know, get a feel for things, and then we'll slip right into some Green Knight talk. But let's talk some news. So first piece of news is something that I don't think either of us have been watching, so it's not, you know, anything that we're going to have a ton of commentary on, but nonetheless it is big breaking news for those who have been watching this series and who do care about it. And that is Doctor Who. That is the series Doctor Who over at the BBC. BBC has announced that Jodie Whittaker, the current Doctor, is going to be leaving the show after her current run. She's going to do I think a set of 3 specials that will come out next year, and then she will depart the role and make way for the 14th Doctor, maybe the 15th. I'm not sure what they're up to. 14th, I just checked. So they'll have a new Doctor at some point. Additionally, the showrunner, Chris Chibnall, who I've heard people are not a huge fan of his work on this show, is also departing the series. So I think people are going to be excited about that. So maybe a bittersweet. I think people seem to really like Jodie Whittaker in the role and haven't been a fan of, unfortunately, the work, you know, the scripts that she's been handed. But nonetheless, it's a big news. It's a big shift for the series. The first female Doctor was obviously a very big casting decision at the time that it came out. So, you know, what's the direction they go in for moving forward? Because this is a show I feel like that is gonna keep going and going and going. Obviously, it did back in the day until it didn't, and then they've brought it back, and I think it's been on, you know, a roll for over close to 2 decades now, probably quite some time. But anyway, do you have any thoughts on this? I know, like I said, I know this is not a show that you watch. Maybe you have watched some iterations of it. I can't remember if you ever watched any of the Chris Eccleston ones or anything.
One doctor that had the black trench coat.
Yeah, the Eccleston one. So I think he did one series, one season.
I watched a couple of his. I would definitely enjoy watching the Purple Man's seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great. So I watched through David Tennant's run, and I think I watched either a season of Matt Smith or some of a season of Matt Smith, who I really enjoyed in the role, which is to say that I'm now multiple doctors behind. I think Matt Smith did several seasons worth. Peter Capaldi was on, who we recently saw in the Suicide Squad. And then now Jodie Whittaker has been on for a few years now. So I'm very, very much behind the curve. I like to think this is the type of show that I'm like, yeah, I'd like to go back and watch it. Like, it's probably pretty fun and enjoyable. Will I ever make the time for it?
There's a lot of content, dude. There's so much content.
It's for me, it's probably in the CW camp of like, I'd like to go back and catch up on all that shit. Will I? Probably not. Probably not really. To be honest, like, probably not. But
yeah, it's just a lot.
It's there for the fans that enjoy it, so.
If Idris Elba was the next Doctor, I'd watch it.
Yeah, that would get some butts in seats, that's for sure. That would be very cool. I don't know if it'll happen.
Or
like I said, we don't know what direction they're going to go in. Another woman, wouldn't surprise me, but maybe they don't want to do that twice in a row.
Don't get me wrong. You can. I don't know. Idris Elba, I'd be down for that. I might dial in. I might catch an episode or two of that. If you got Benedict Cumberbatch and there is a doctor, I might dial that in. I might watch that. I think big and let me explain myself. It's not because both of those are men and this is a woman or anything like that. It's just I've seen both of them in BBC products.
They're good. They're badasses and they're British. They're British. So that they're eligible to be cast in the first place.
Exactly.
You're just naming British actors that you like. If they cast a British actor that I like,
BBC shows
and BBC stuff, so they're not. It's not crazy for them.
It's not like I'm pulling weird names out of right field.
Right.
I would take those two people that have shown up in BBC products before.
I would too. I don't know that would happen, but never say never. So,
they're both getting comic book money now, so it's hard to.
Right. Yeah. They're in big projects these days. Doctor Who maybe beneath
Doctor
them,
Who's kind of still that. At least from the episodes I watched, some of Doctor Who's. Some of its appeal is the fact that it's almost like B-movie-ish, right?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent. I think that the budget ramped up a little bit, as it got more popular with the new iterations of it. But, it's not Suicide Squad budget. It's not the Doctor Strange, Spider-Man budget. It's not anything like that. It's not getting that sort of thing. It's a TV show. It's a BBC TV show. It's got its fans, and
fans,
very, 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 very devoted fans. But I think it has a very, has a certain aesthetic, a certain feel, certain tone. So, and it doesn't really, I don't think, steer too far from that, which I think is pretty good from what I can tell. So, yeah.
We'll see who the next Doctor is. I'll chime in when we find out.
It's fun, I think, following it. Even if I haven't watched it in years, personally, I do think it's kind of fun following it, from the sidelines of like, okay, this person had their tenure for a few years. Like, okay, here's these people that people are really wanting to be, the next Doctor, and then they cast this person. What's the reaction like? And okay, I don't know. It's interesting just kind of seeing something like this go through the various phases that it does. So, like I said, it's a maybe if I finally find a lot of free time, which to be fair, I do have a lot of free time on my hands right now, but I probably still will not watch it right now. That I would consider, catching up on it, but yeah, like I said, maybe we'll tune back in whenever they do cast the 14th Doctor or whatever. But anyway, I think it's big news. It's big enough news that I think it warrants talking about, even if we don't have the most to offer on it. I'm sure at least one listener has watched Doctor Who. Maybe they're not current like myself or yourself, but now they're in the know. Now they know what's going on the BBC and the Doctor Who front. So that's that. Shall we move on?
We shall move on.
We shall move on to another television series, which has not debuted, but it is one that we have a little bit more familiarity with, at least in terms of the franchise that it is associated with. So maybe a little bit more of a leg to stand on here. It's the Lord of the Rings TV series that is coming courtesy of Amazon Studios, set to debut on Amazon Prime. As we have learned, it is set to debut on September 2nd, 2022. So we have pretty much from when we're recording just about a year to wait. Just a little over a year, in fact. It's going to be debuting on a Friday. Weekly releases of, I believe, 10 episodes, I believe, is what's going to be happening with this. And it's a pretty seismic series, I would think, and a Lord of the Rings series set thousands of years before the films, based on some lore from the Tolkien novels, who was someone you already name dropped earlier. It feels like it could be a very big holy shit kind of series, and certainly with the amount of money that Amazon spent on the rights and making the film or the shows, you might think that it's going to be a big holy shit kind of thing. They did also release a promo image. If you happened to take a look at that, we see a character of some sort on a field overlooking a city of some sort in Middle Earth. It's really not a whole lot of details other than all I can say is, yep, looks like Lord of the Rings to me. So yeah, what do you think?
Is that the city with the dead tree? The one that crossed the street from God damn it. My Lord of the Rings is not good.
This is what I said, a little bit more of a
I was
going to
say
Voldemort,
maybe not, but that's not right. That's
well, that's
Harry
definitely
Potter.
incorrect. That's definitely incorrect.
It would be across the street from where the fuck is what's the Eye of Sauron? Where's that at? It's the last city of man. Yeah, so across the city, across the kingdom, across the way from Mordor.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I truly couldn't tell you.
You could say it. What is it? I can't remember. Oh, Lord of the Rings. I need to watch it. That's bad. I can't remember it. Anyways, I don't know. I don't know. The promo image looks spectacular.
It does. I think you get the scale and the scope that they're going for, and although I am not the lore expert on Lord of the Rings, that's Anna's that's Anna's place to help out with some Lord of the Rings and the pronunciations of things and stuff, because I'm very deficient on that particular front. All I can say is this to me looks very Lord of the Rings-esque. It evokes the same types of visuals and feelings that I get from it. And I hope that the series can live up to the standard that we got with those Peter Jackson films. Yeah, and we know that they're putting the money toward it. I'm sure they spent a pretty penny on those other Lord of the Rings films, prequels.
So they spent the money on those, the rights.
Plus, stupid amount of money on the rights alone.
Right. So, along with, if you're going to spend that much money on the rights, and I can't remember how much money they spent on the rights, but
I think it was several hundreds of millions of dollars. If I'm not, I think it was like $300 million. I don't know if I'm just making that up, but I feel like it was.
All I can think about
crazy.
Is half a bill on
Knives Out, the Knives Out ones.
Knives Out, exactly.
Yeah.
Half a bill on Knives Out. What's Lord of the Rings?
Well, here we go. I got figures. They spent $250 million on the rights alone, and the budget for each season is expected to be $100 to $150 million per season, with the idea that they're going to do it for multiple seasons, making the overall commitment to exceed over $1 billion. Making it the most expensive TV series ever made. And who's going to afford it? Old Jeff. Old Jeff
Bezos.
Is going to do it.
Him and his fucking cowboy hat, space riding, like, oh God. Can you think of anything more like dystopian than Jeff Bezos?
Good Lord.
What the fuck is more like American dystopian than fuck? I'm riding spaceships up into space. I'm spending over $1 billion on Lord of the Rings. Fuck it. You know, who cares?
Yeah, and I'll have billions of dollars left over. It's great.
And
Everything's
he's
great.
got like the total Dr. Evil look. He's bald. He's got a lazy eye. Fucking Jeff Bezos.
Why have $1 billion when you can have $1 trillion?
Jeff Bezos. Oh my goodness. Anyways, he's making Lord of the Rings, so I can't get too upset. And he's making the Foundation, which looks pretty cool.
We'll talk about that. Yep.
So yeah, back to Lord of the Rings. That promo picture looks cool. I'm excited that it premieres next year. It's literally almost a year from now.
Yep, quite literally.
So, we'll see what we get. Hopefully it's good. To be completely honest, I don't think I've invested the time in any Amazon show. Not that I haven't wanted to. Man in the High Castle is one that I wanted to get into. I did watch...
cheating, I guess, The Expanse you could count because it became an Amazon show. But
I watched Invincible.
Yeah, season of that, yeah.
And I did watch...
was it The Boys? Was The Boys on Amazon
The Boys.
too? Yeah.
I think The Boys is Amazon. So I watched those three.
It was a handful right there.
But I haven't watched the ones that have received the most critical acclaim.
Well, I know for a fact you haven't been watching Bosch, which I think just wrapped up its final season, so you really missed the boat on that one.
I've not watched any Bosch. I was supposed to do a monologue on Bosch. Has not happened. And I really wanted to get into Man in the High Castle, just because it seems to scratch an itch I think I have. But I have not watched it, and I did not watch that one that I was actually pretty excited about, which is the sci-fi one. God, I can't... It was the one where they had the robots, and they had the... robots. God, I can't remember what it's called.
I think we talked about the trailer for it, right?
We did, and it looked pretty compelling.
Like the Loop or something like that.
Yeah, it was the Loop. Tales within the Loop.
Tales from the Loop. Yeah. I think,
haven't watched that. But I wanted to watch it. So there's two shows that I want to watch of Amazon that I have not seen. One of which I know is critically acclaimed, which is the
High Castle.
Man in the High Castle. I know that there was one, the Tales of Miss Daisy or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That's it. I know that's a critically acclaimed one.
That's another one. That I haven't watched either. So yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like
I know they're putting some good stuff out. For some reason.
You know what it is? I can pinpoint what it is. It's the fact that their fucking streaming platform is absolute dog shit to navigate. It's just the worst.
I was just about to say that the UI in their fucking program sucks real bad.
Like they split HD and 4K into separate things. Seasons are like separate listing. It's just all fucking bad. It's real bad. Stupid. For as much money as Amazon makes, I know for a fact they can afford to just copy Netflix at a minimum and just make it look like that.
Yeah,
instead of whatever crap they're rolling out, for years now.
For years. Like, it's been shit for a very long time. And that's principally probably why I'm not drawn in. I'll watch Netflix shit. I'll watch dog shit, Netflix shit before I dial into an Amazon thing. Just because do you know how hard you have to search for shit on Amazon?
Yeah. And you may not get the thing you want. Like I said, they split the HD and the 4K, and you have to hunt for the 4K versions of shit for some reason. It's just like, if you have it on there and this best quality that you can offer, why is that not front and center? Like, it's just bizarre to me.
Just make it fucking automatic. Like, just dial it down to the person receiving it. Like, why
is this a 4K TV it's playing on? Okay, we're gonna put it out in 4K. Exactly. What a concept.
What? I don't know. Anyways, Jeff, you do what you do.
You do what you do. He just fucking he's busy flying in space and shit. He doesn't have time for UIs and shit like that. Apparently, he's too good. He's like, I don't actually give a shit about people. I just care about me, and I can watch what I want. People, they just hand deliver the shit that I want to watch. I don't actually have to use Amazon Prime. So
there's a it's on Netflix. But there's a comedian. There's this Asian dude on Netflix. He's got a comedy special. I watched it. God, I can't remember his name. He's fucking hysterical and talks about Netflix. Prime. I want it now. I want you to hand deliver the shit in my mouth. I want you to just put it in my mouth when I order food. I want it now. I want you to deliver it before I even think about it. You know what I mean? I want Amazon before is what I want. And it's just a fucking awesome performance. I'll look that up before the end of this thing here.
All right, I'll let you work on that. But anyway, we should probably move on. Lord of the Rings, like I said, the TV show debuting next September, so we got a year to wait. But hopefully it will be worth the long wait. Unlike again those Lord of the Rings prequel movies that we got. I think they were the Hobbit movies. I think they were called The Hobbit. I don't know if anyone remembers those. We can move on. We don't have to talk about it. It's fine. Let's move on and talk about some DC film news.
Oh boy.
I know, very exciting, always exciting. Although, coming off the back of the Suicide Squad, maybe DC's back on track. We got the Batman to look forward to and all that good stuff. So, sometimes they do good things. Sometimes they don't. But we'll see what's happening with this next project. It is Blue Beetle, and we've learned that someone has been cast as the titular character Blue Beetle. It is Xolo Maridueña, who you will recognize as Miguel Diaz from Cobra Kai.
Oh, okay.
He's been cast to play Jaime Reyes, which is, I think, the second iteration of the Blue Beetle in the DC comics. I think the original was Ted Kord, who's CEO, white guy. This is a little bit more exciting, a little bit more diverse. It'll be a Latino superhero, I think the first coming from DC, and beating Marvel, on that front. So, I think it's a pretty good casting. My exposure to Blue Beetle, and particularly to the character of Jaime Reyes, is through the Young Justice TV show, which I know I talked about a while back, that I was watching through DC Universe when that was still a streaming service. It is no longer a streaming service. I think everything's kind of been folded into HBO Max at this point. But, I think it's really good casting. I think it's great in Cobra Kai, first of all, which I know you're caught up on.
Yeah, Cobra. He's great in Cobra Kai.
He's really good. I'm partway through season 3, I guess, for the record. And I think season 4 is dropping in December or something. I don't know. They're pumping those things out kind of crazy. So I should go back and finish season 3 before long. But he's really, really good in that as Miguel. It's a really good show in general. Cobra Kai is with lots of people that are really good in it, but he in particular is very good. So I'm excited to see him, make his film debut. Actually, just looking at Wikipedia, he's never actually starred in a feature film, so this would be quite a leap, as as a superhero, So, I mean, I expect you're not overly familiar with Blue Beetle as a character. Maybe I'm
is
wrong
that
on
the
that
same?
front, but,
is that the same? We may have talked about this when we talked about Blue Beetle before. I feel like we have. It's the
probably.
same
I
thing
think
as
we talked about the director.
Beetleborgs.
It's not anything to do with Beetleborgs, but honestly, it's not dissimilar, is what I would say. I think there's a lot of crossover. Basically, he has an alien scarab that binds to his chest and gives him this exosuit that gives him flight and shooty things out of his hands and all that good stuff. So I assume that's kind of the angle that they're taking with it with this one as well.
What I can say about the actor is I think he's incredibly charismatic.
We don't have the guy with the nose from Beetleborgs, whatever that guy's name is. I think we talked about him.
We did. Xolo is a charismatic dude. I think he's a good actor. I think we'll probably see good things for him throughout his career. I think he's just starting.
I think so too. Yeah, he's pretty young, right? He's got to be.
He's 20 years old. I
can't imagine he's more than his very,
born
very
in
early
01,
20s.
So for him to be catching these roles, that's real promising for his career. So
yeah,
good for
definitely.
him. And Romario, is that it?
I think that's his first name. Yeah,
Romario Xolo
Maridueña.
That's a fucking cool name, dude. I think
it's a very cool name.
He's got it going for him. So I think we're gonna see good things for him throughout his career. So if Blue Beetle is our introduction to him through DC, with the Blue Beetle. I think that's a tremendous stepping off point.
Yeah, it's just, it's a stepping stone to bigger role. I was going to say bigger and better. Maybe not. Maybe this is great. But bigger and better roles. Maybe more Blue Beetle films. Maybe the Blue Beetle character crosses over into other DC properties.
Or just in principle. It really. I mean. Yeah. So I don't know anything about Blue Beetle other than what you've told me, and associating it with Beetleborgs.
Beetleborgs, but we love Beetleborgs, so it's a good association.
Yeah, but I do know him from Cobra Kai, and he's killed it every season in Cobra Kai. I thoroughly enjoyed his performances in Cobra Kai each season. So the more I get of him, I'm all about it. Good for him.
Yeah, definitely. So one final note on this is like the Batgirl film that we talked about, I think, on the last episode. This will be coming straight to HBO Max, skipping the theatrical release. I still find it to be a bizarre strategy, but I guess they want subscribers to HBO Max, and as someone that already subscribed to it, it means that I don't have to pay more money than I already am, I guess. But I don't know. I like seeing things on a big screen, especially now that we're in a position where we can finally again see things on the big screen and, relative comfort.
Side note, we haven't talked about this. I don't think this has popped up in the news, and I've been surprised about it. Is the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit against Disney?
So I've been keeping it in my back pocket. We can talk about it now if you want, but I figured we got a big Disney film to talk about coming up with Shang-Chi before long. So I've been keeping it in my back pocket because I wanted a round table on it, but yeah, it's certainly been out there. Scarlett Johansson not too pleased with the Disney overlords and taking her money away from her because of the theatrical release strategy that happened with Black Widow, the simultaneous Disney Plus release and everything. Yeah, what a hot mess they got over there, to say the least.
So we can talk about it later when
we'll do full coverage of it for sure. But if you have some immediate thoughts, I'm not gonna tell you to just hold on to it. So if you've got something to say, go for it, man.
So the immediate thoughts is how do actors moving forward negotiate their contracts, right?
Yeah, true. Right. You're signing on to a movie, but also your movie's not coming to theaters, so it's like, I think the obvious answer, I guess, is get a fucking flat rate. Don't ask for portions of the grosses, or if you are, then make sure it's not box office grosses, because those are going to be diminished from or non-existent if it's an HBO Max exclusive film.
Surely you don't sign on for new subscribers, or maybe a very small portion of new subscribers.
I don't know. Are services going to want to do that? I wouldn't think so. You're the company making this. You are in the position that, well, I want to make as much money from this as I can, so I don't want to sign away things that are going to be potentially profitable to me. Now, and I think one big thing to note is probably most actors do just get a flat rate. Like, you're getting paid this amount of millions of dollars, and that's what you get. It's the Scarlett Johanssons that have a little bit more clout that might get like, well, I've been doing this shit for Marvel for a few years, for Disney for a few years. I want a portion of the grosses. I'm a producer on this now. I'm entitled to a little bit more, I think, than some others might be. So if you're, say, Xolo Maridueña, who doesn't have a single film credit to your name, you're probably not getting a portion of grosses or even trying to negotiate.
It's a good thing I'm not like an actor or a talent or anything. They could offer me $1 million. All right, dude, I'd take it.
Well, and that's just it. If you're an up and comer and you're young and you think
that's how they get
this is high profile and I can leverage this into bigger, better roles.
You have to think about Disney, man, because it's something about Disney. They always pull people out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And it leaves you wondering why they pull them out of the woodwork. They're energetic. They're excited to be doing it. X, Y, and Z, right? Mm-hmm. Could some of that be because they're just excited to put in the work in this big thing and they don't have to pay them?
I don't know.
Maybe, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But I'm not going to talk about Disney because we're getting a paycheck from Disney. So,
we don't say, we love Disney.
Obviously, like every 5 shows we do is on Disney.
Anyway, yeah, why don't we'll circle back around to it. We'll talk about, because I have a couple other pieces of news that again I've put in the back pocket because I think they're interesting in the context of the ScarJo stuff. But yes, certainly it is a piece of news that is out there and exists, and we've touched on it, and we'll circle back around to it and maybe flesh it out a little bit more, like what's going on, what's the latest, that sort of thing on the next episode. So, yeah, but we'll press pause on that for now. Let me offer one final piece of news, which I guess in terms of segues, this is regarding people that are very much willing to play ball with Disney, not ready to sue them or anything like that. And this is kind of a more like niche, I think, project than I don't know. I feel like it's become a cult classic. Have you seen the film The Rocketeer?
Oh yeah, I've
seen
The Rocketeer.
Yeah,
Who hasn't seen The Rocketeer?
Right. It's like people have seen The Rocketeer, but no one saw The Rocketeer when it came out. I think that's the important point. Is that it came out in 1991, didn't do very well.
I was
People
born,
didn't really know anything about it. Well, you were correct. So you didn't see it when it came out because you have a good excuse for not seeing it when it came out. I do too. We didn't exist, but no excuses for the other people that were around and alive and just chose not to see it. Shame on you. Shame on you, really. But it's it's become this big cult classic, but it's kind of just been there. It's just been kind of hanging around for a while, but no longer. Because we're going to be getting a new Disney Plus movie called The Return of the Rocketeer. Which is pretty cool. We're decades removed from the original movie coming out. And the news is that David Oyelowo is going to be producing it with, I believe, his wife. He is in talks to star, I guess, as the new Rocketeer that would be the main character of this film, who would be a retired Tuskegee Airman, which is pretty fucking cool.
Which is the World War II squadron, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Black fighter pilots and American on the American side in World War II. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, it sounds like you dug The Rocketeer, whenever you did see it, which was obviously not 1991.
And it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I've definitely seen it, and I definitely enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it. I'd enjoy watching that movie again, as a matter of fact.
That would be a good one. That'd be a good one.
Maybe a bonus episode.
No, if it's... Yeah. That'd be a good bonus episode.
Nice,
fun.
easy bonus
one
episode.
Movie. We could just do one movie on a bonus episode. That would be fun. We usually bite off more than we can chew into. Let's just do fucking 19 films on this bonus episode, dude. Let's just do 19 films. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all.
Nice one.
I don't know
single bonus episode.
I don't actually know if the first one is streaming. Like, I assume it's like on Disney Plus. It feels like if they're going to do a sequel on Disney Plus, they should have the first one on Disney Plus. But I actually don't know for a fact if it is. Quick research tells me it is on Disney Plus.
Nice.
There you go.
Easy.
Very cool.
Nice and easy.
Yeah, that might be a good one. A good way to ease ourselves back into bonus episodes, perhaps. Yeah, I do want to watch that at some point. It does sound really cool, just to do it, do a little throwback. We could have an episode that's probably like less than an hour. That's unheard of. We haven't done that in probably years at this point. That'd be kind of fun.
I'd be down for it. Maybe you heard it here first.
Anyway, what do you got on this? David Oyelowo kind of heading this Rocketeer comeback. Are you down for it?
I think it sounds like a cool concept. Absolutely, it's an IP that's not like readily like spread thin or anything else. It's,
sure. Right.
And it sounds like a topical fucking comeback thing. You know what I mean? It sounds like it could be very relevant. It sounds like it could be very cool. I'm all about it. 100% about it. Who is, I feel like I know that guy's name from somewhere. David.
Yeah. I mean, you would definitely recognize him. I know that he was... Let's just look up his film credits, shall we? Right. He played Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma, which I know I've talked about. I'm not sure if you've seen that. He was in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He was apparently in Red Tails. That's interesting, because that is about the Tuskegee Airmen. And he was the voice of Callus in Star Wars Rebels. I know you've definitely seen that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably where I know him from.
So I think you'd probably recognize him, and you've probably seen him in this or that, but probably not like one singular film that would make you immediately recognize him. He was in the Cloverfield Paradox, so you definitely would have seen him in that. So,
okay, yep.
You know, like I said, there's probably a handful of films that I'm sure you've seen him in. But anyway, great actor.
He was also in The Wrinkle of Time. That's it. He was
lest we forget. Never again. I've blocked all memory of it, if I, as much as I can anyway. So yeah, that's it's very cool. I'm excited to see what they do with a little Rocketeer comeback. So looking forward to that on Disney Plus. I'm sure it's a couple years away, but regardless, looking forward to it. So that brings us to a great many trailers that we have on tap to talk about, and I have the weirdest. Not for last, but first, because we're talking a lot of A24 goodness on this episode. It is The Green Knight, and it is absolutely an A24 film, and people in the know what that means. People that don't, let me just say it's a weird fucking film. Every A24 film can probably be boiled down to, that's pretty fucking weird, man. I don't know if you like it.
Art house, God damn it. It's art house.
It's art house, which for a lot of people, they hear art house and they think, okay, I'm good. Everyone has opinions. I think that Andrew and myself, I think to varying degrees, still, of course, I think we can kind of vibe with that sort of thing, if we're up for it.
More than the
average Joe, I think, for sure.
Exactly.
So we're a little bit more willing to engage. Right. But anyway, A24 was kind enough to drop a trailer for their next film coming out in October of this year called Lamb. And it's an A24 trailer is what I'll say, because I don't know what the hell I just watched. And I don't think you did either.
Yeah, Lamb looks a little bizarre. Lamb looks like every A24 movie, beautifully shot.
Beautifully shot, yes, we can co-sign that. Yeah.
It looks like they put that.
Probably going to be pretty interesting. I don't know.
It looks like they have a little lamb, like a lamb child, like a
lamb child. I don't know what's going on there. It's very bizarre.
Yeah. Looks kind of scary.
Yeah, it's like almost horror-esque, and I was like, what genre is this intended to be? Because I wasn't sure, again, after like a first glance. Wikipedia puts it as I believe a supernatural drama. Yes, a supernatural drama, which kind of makes me more interested. I'm not going to lie.
Like what's that? What does that entail? You don't know. And the cool thing about A24 movies is they're very much like onions, as the ogre would say.
Well, Shrek. Yeah. Did you say the ogre? Like, are you worried about copyright strikes? You know what? We can't say his name, otherwise Big Bad DreamWorks is gonna blow down our house.
That's it. They're layerful films.
You got layers.
Sure. So I don't know what they're going for here. Looks interesting. It's got that. It's got the lady from Prometheus and shit.
Oh, she did the Swedish dragon tattoos.
That's it. Bingo. Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Numi Rapace. Don't know. Something like
that. But it looks like you got her speaking her native language here, which is cool. She yells that a couple of times, and it felt very authentic.
Yeah, this is definitely not an English language film. I think it's maybe Icelandic or something like that. Icelandic, Swedish, Polish. So very much not an American film, but
and you're going to get some out there, some shit. Like, I mean, it's just going to be radically different than like normal. Well, no, I don't want to say normal, but Western things. Like, I mean, the and that's the cool thing when you watch a foreign film.
Yeah.
Especially when you watch a foreign art house film, because the tendencies are just, or not the tendencies, but like the arcs and the just the I don't know, the themes of the film and the way they dress the themes of the film are radically different than Western sensibilities. So it's a really cool like lens on different cultures when you watch a film when you watch a foreign film in general, but then when you watch an art house film, it's like super on point, and it's radically different than what you'll be used to, which the trailer speaks volumes to that, because the trailer's way the fuck out there. But I would say that this is a film that I would be very much interested to see, based on the fact that I know it's foreign and based on the fact that I know it's A24.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And that, I think I think at the very least it's very interesting. I don't know if it's going to be what I'm into or anything else, but I think it would be cool to experience it. So the trailer, the movie looks well shot. I think it's going to be well acted. And I'd be interested to see what that film has to offer. And the cool thing about A24 is the fact that they're very much art house in what they put out, but they're very much on the commercial side of art house, right? Like, they're not so small that it's hard to receive that content. They're very much on the forefront, and they have the funding and everything else to put it out there, which is cool. So it's kind of like putting your toe into art house film with A24, because they get good casting, they have the funding to make a solid film, and they can make it easy to access. So like, if A24 is like your entry point to art house films, I feel like it's a really solid point, because they can make a accessible film for you to watch. You can readily see the trailers, you know it's coming out, you know it's got good casting, you know it's got good funding. And they kind of tread that line of being commercially successful and being art house at the same time, which is pretty cool for a production house. So
I agree. And especially for I think a lot of A24 films, they're not for everyone, obviously, but they tend to review pretty well. You know, I think that a lot of what they put out is quality and asterisk of quality of what it's intended to be, which again is something that's either going to be for you or not for you. And I think
it's very polarizing.
It does straddle the line, and I think that some are, I think, a little bit more successful. I think, even just thinking to recent films, like Minari is more of a film, I think, that has a little bit more broad appeal than something I'm sure like this does. This feels very niche.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Or that, or no, that one wasn't even. That one,
like Hereditary and Midsummer are kind of they're horror films, and obviously horror is popular, but they're still kind of almost, I feel on the outskirts of the horror genre. Of it's not really popular horror. I think that they did well enough for what they are, but they're still kind of a different level of A24 horror is it's almost its own genre in a way, and this feels okay, is it teetering towards that? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I really don't know, but I don't know. A24 does good shit. I think that's the bottom line. And again, it's either going to be for you or it's not. And I think that could be said of any film. Just because you like A24 film doesn't mean you're going to like everything else that they do. You may be predisposed to it, as I think you and I are. But obviously each film is going to have different successes and failures. So Lamb remains to be seen what it is. We'll be talking about the Green Knight.
They also did, didn't they put out the movie, the one with, goddamn, Mother. They put out Mother, didn't they?
It might have been. I actually don't know, but it feels like it. If not, it feels like it. If it
feels
isn't,
like Mother, anyways.
Yeah, that sort of that was a polarizing film. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Anytime Aronofsky does something, it's polarizing. I think is probably a true statement.
Yeah,
but
true.
Anyway, let's move on from Lamb and talk about some more mainstream trailers, shall we say? And what could be more mainstream than a trailer
Paul Rudd.
that stars the man himself, Paul Rudd, who I again adore. I think he's just a treasure. But Paul Rudd is starring in Ghostbusters Afterlife, the technically fourth Ghostbusters film that we've gotten, but this one
I
seems
thought this
to be,
shit come out like 2 years ago, to be fair.
Well, we got trailers for it 2 years ago, to be fair, so and that's an understandable reaction. It just never actually did come out. It got bumped and bumped and bumped as many did. Some more than others. Like this is one that like was probably fairly close to coming out. Like I think it was a summer release of last year, and then it got bumped, and then it got bumped again. So it's Ghostbusters Afterlife again, fourth film in Ghostbusters franchise. Technically, I think the third one. This appears to be a sequel to Ghostbusters 1 and 2, but set kind of decades after, more modern day times after those films, were kind of set around the times that they were released. It's coming to theaters this November. So it's still a few months away, but it has Paul Rudd, and
it's got the kid from...
it's got Stranger Things kid.
Yep.
Who looks fucking 25 years old in this shit.
And he's 5 years older now.
I don't know. I feel like Stranger Things is going to be very jarring because I don't know if they're going to de-age him, It style, like they did for It Chapter 2. They had to de-age him because like he doesn't look like a kid anymore. God damn it, we waited too long to film this. I don't know how Stranger Things 4 is going to look. I don't know if it's going to be jarring that everyone else is just like, oh yeah, they're just adults now. It's fine. We'll see how they handle that, I guess. But anyway, Ghostbusters Afterlife. My understanding, if I recall correctly, because I know we talked about this trailer, and we probably talked about a teaser trailer at one point, probably 2 years ago. You probably are absolutely correct on that front. It probably has been years since we've, been seeing things from this film. I don't think you've seen any of the Ghostbusters films, at least based on my recollection of the previous
I've
conversations.
definitely seen Ghostbusters.
You have, but maybe it hasn't been a while then?
It's been a very long time.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what it is. Okay.
So I remember the one with the one I remember most is... I'm the gatekeeper, and I'm the keymaster.
The keymaster, yes, that's the first one.
Which one's got the painting with the baby?
That's the second one.
Okay, so I've seen them both.
So you've seen them both, and then there was the 2016 one, which people.
That was the all woman. That
was the all women Ghostbusters, which was like with Thor in it, who's very funny.
I never watched it. I never saw that.
That one's kind of just being relegated to the sidelines, I think, from the looks of it.
Yeah.
So not essential viewing. It's fine. I know there was a lot of backlash for it. It's fine. It's not great, but it's fine as my official take on it. But so you've seen some you got some Ghostbusters lore in your veins, it sounds like. So what did you think about this? This is very much hitting on the nostalgia button, I think, of the original two Ghostbusters films. I think it's really trying to, you get
the State Marshmallow Man, or you get the which is cool, the little baby ones, which was present in the previous ones. I think the part that got me most excited, and it's the only part that's got me excited about the entire thing, was like the Jurassic Park 2 thing where the kid slid out of the station wagon.
Okay.
In that trailer and through the Ghostbuster beam or whatever, outside of the side of the car, and then it had like the little drone buggy going with the ghost catcher, and it looks like they were chasing like the green Slimer, yes.
That looked like Slimer. I thought so too.
That part got me pretty excited. I'm not going to lie about it. I was like, okay, well, I'm all up. Like, Paul Rudd was cool in the beginning of the trailer. I think we get more Paul Rudd in this trailer than we got in the past trailers. I like Paul Rudd. I'd be lying if I say I wouldn't see this movie. I would see this movie. I'd be excited to see this movie based off the fact of Paul Rudd and it's Ghostbusters. And it seems more Ghostbustery than the previous movie that came out.
Sure. I think so too. Yeah.
But I will say that this movie can have, it could be more Indiana Jones Crystal Skull-ish.
Sure.
I get those vibes. So it's either going to be I think it's going to be either a very entertaining movie or a very shit movie. I don't think it's going to like tread any line. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. For my 2 cents, I'm really looking forward to this. Actually, I think it looks kind of like the right way to do a Ghostbusters sequel, especially now that you're down a Ghostbusters. Harold Ramis, unfortunately, not with us anymore. And I feel like, to me, if you can't have the original Ghostbusters crew together, then you can't do a proper Ghostbusters sequel in the way that, you'd want to. So this feels like more of a Force Awakens-y type approach of, it's a bunch of different characters, but they have a connection to everything that came before. So like, it seems like the girl, or I guess like the kids, are related to Spengler, who was Harold Ramis's character. So it's like smart, like make it a generational thing, and how, they're watching the fucking Ghostbusters thing on YouTube. Like, to me, that's entertaining. Like, that's fun. There's a hint of a cameo at the end of the trailer. It feels like it is going to be baked with a lot of nostalgia. We see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Little Mini-Men here. We see the dog thing running after Paul Rudd at a Walmart. I think it's going to be hitting on a lot of nostalgic beats and maybe recycling some ideas from the original Ghostbusters films. No sighting of...
It's been a long time.
Right. It's been long enough that I think that, The Force Awakens was a little bit of nostalgia bait in its own way, but like it was very successful, obviously. And like, I think a good job of doing that, like not wholly original, obviously, but like a good, recycling of ideas and a repackaging of ideas. Like, that's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I don't want that every couple of years for different things, but when the Ghostbusters franchise, for all intents and purposes had been put on ice for a while. Like, yes, I know we got the 2016 film that was really trying to do its own thing a little bit with that had cameos, but it was like not really a sequel. It was really just kind of its own thing. Like I said, this to me is like, let's lean into this being a sequel and, something that is a little bit more practical for what we can make, given that it's been, years and years since the original two came out. Yeah, I'm down for it. I think it looks like it's hitting all the kind of right beats for me, and
the guy that makes the vodka's in it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's original Ghostbuster guy. He's big into making his own vodka.
Someone makes a vodka. Is it Aykroyd that makes a vodka?
Yes, that's it.
Okay,
Dan Aykroyd.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
He's
I don't know if I've
big
tried
in
it then.
yeah, he's a cool dude. Yeah. It's just make a good movie,
Sure.
I think it's a cool property. I think you can capitalize on it. I mean, the music was made by Huey Lewis in the News, make that shit good. Lean into it. It's a good property.
I had to think about that for a second. I was like, was it? And I was like, I guess in a way it was. It was just kind of lifted from Huey Lewis in the News. I was like, I don't think they did it. I was like, oh wait, I guess I see what you're saying. They kind of did. They kind of did do the music for it, didn't they? I think didn't they win? They either won or settled that lawsuit, because they definitely were in the right. Usually, like the music lawsuits are just like, you stole my shit. I'm like, I mean. Like, it's like a few notes that are crossover, like, but then there are egregious examples. There are the Vanilla Ices and the, Queen and David Bowies of the world. And then there are the, the Huey Lewis in the News and the Ray Parker Juniors of the world. Like, where I'm just like, yeah, you kind of just stole that shit, my dude. Like, you kind of have to own up to it at some point.
Kind of just pay the man his money.
There's a reason you stole it. It's because it's catchy as fuck. You stole it because it's catchy as fuck and it sounds good, but yeah, he's kind of stole it.
Pay the man his money. And
pay the man.
That's cool too. You know what I mean? So, Paul Rudd, I'm all in, especially with the Jurassic Park 2 slide out of the side of the thing and blaster. That's cool. I'll take it. We'll see what happens.
Definitely. We'll see what happens. It's November 11th that it comes out. This is another one. We talked about with the Rocketeer. I will definitely be revisiting Ghostbusters 1 and 2, so if you're up for that, that would be something that would be fun to do as well. Only 2 movies that time, so more than 1, but not 19 like
bonus
I said. So
episodes stacking.
We're just teeing up more bonus episodes, so maybe we shouldn't, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We make no promises, we make no guarantees, no warranties, etc., but it's nice to think. It's nice to dream. So let's move on to the next trailer that we have. King Richard, film coming to theaters and HBO Max on November 19th. Will Smith's next project. He skipped out on the Suicide Squad, but he was busy making King Richard. Tells this true story of the coach / mentor / father of tennis stars Venus and Serena Williams. So, a tennis movie, I feel like these are pretty rare. I feel like, we don't really see a lot of tennis movies. I just adopted an accent to I just drank a whole 9% beer with not having any cheddar in my stomach. I'm just going to go ahead and chalk that one up to that, and also chalk it up to the fact, as Anna can attest, sometimes I just slip into accents, and God damn it, she hates it. But I love it. I love it. Tennis. So anyway, we're talking about some tennis on this episode. We're talking about Will Smith starring as King Richard in this tennis film about Venus and Serena Williams, coming to HBO Max on November 19th. And I just have to ask you, what were your thoughts on this trailer?
I enjoyed this trailer. I enjoyed this trailer a whole lot. Yeah. I don't know. It seemed like a very heartfelt, real thing.
It did. My kind of initial take on it was like, it's kind of weird. It's like, okay, like Venus and Serena Williams are like, they're superstars. Like they're tennis superstars and tennis superstars, as some might say. It's kind of weird. Like, why are we just not getting a movie about Venus and Serena? Like, why do we have to have a movie about their dad? Like, isn't that kind of like, really? Like, that's the direction we're going? But I don't know. It is kind of, I felt like the trailer kind of won me over, with what the premise was. Because I feel like Will Smith looks like he's bringing it. It's like Will Smith, like, acting, doing
seems
some
like
acting.
What was that one movie he put out? The one where he was like he went on Wall Street or something. The Beautiful Dream or something.
Pursuit of Happiness.
The Pursuit of Happiness. That's it.
Yeah. Will Smith, he's very capable, and like obviously he's always charming. He's always Will Smith, but sometimes like I feel like he's the kind of person that can get enveloped into a role, and this feels like him kind of, obviously it's Will Smith. He's not buried in like prosthetics. Like he's a little older looking, a little grayer than like the Will Smith that we usually see. But, it does feel like him kind of going for it, but in a good way, not like trying to do Oscar baity type stuff, but like, really going for it and feeling like earnest in his performance. And yeah, I think it looked pretty good. I thought it was at least a very good trailer.
Absolutely. Very well made trailer. It looks like he's going for it. The actresses for the tennis players seemed very good. You get the guy from The Walking Dead or Punisher. I think he's in it.
Oh yeah, John Bernthal.
He's in it. And I don't know. I think you have just based off of the acting alone, I think you have the cornerstones of a good movie here.
Yeah,
seems like everybody's all in, and I think when you have a real story to be told, and you have actors like you have in this movie, I think the stakes are that much higher to pay the story justice. You know what I mean? Like I think it's easier to put your all in a performance when this is the story that you're telling, and I think you'll have a really heartfelt movie here. I'm real excited about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's kind of one I think that we're getting towards the end of the day one debuts with HBO Max. It's supposed to end this year, and like obviously like there's a lot of films that we're looking forward to from WB this year. Dune, obviously we're talking about Dune. This is one that I'm just like, again, based on reading it, the title, the description, I'm just like, okay, fine, I got right.
Fair warning. I watched the trailer, not to discredit this movie that we're talking about, but I finished watching the trailer, and the next one to queue up was Dune. It took every part of me not to watch the Dune trailer.
It's a lot of self-control. Like, that's 3+ minutes. I might need to do something.
I can't watch it again. I can't watch it again. We're not talking about it. But I talked about it anyways. Fucking Dune. Dune's around the corner, guys. It's coming.
I brought it up. You can blame it on me. It's fine. Yeah, it looks good. Like I said, surprisingly so, but it looks good. I'm genuinely, in for this. So November 19th will bring us King Richard, and we'll see what King Richard turns out to be. So that brings us to even more trailers. Lots of trailers to talk about. Lots of news on this episode. I feel like I warned people up front. Maybe I didn't. If I didn't, sorry. We're here. We've got some news to plow through. We got a few more trailers to get through. A couple TV shows to talk about. First of which is a show that's been long gestating. Y: The Last Man.
God, this has been forever gestating.
I've probably been talking about this shit since the inception of this podcast. If I wouldn't be surprised if you could look in the single digits and find some news story that we talked about this. Maybe that's not entirely true, but this has gone through multiple showrunners, multiple castings. Blah blah blah, you name it. I think it's 2015 is when they started developing this show. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we talked about it in the early days, but lo and behold, it is finally happening. They filmed the damn thing, at least a season of it. So we got an official trailer for it. This is coming to FX on Hulu. So streaming on Hulu exclusively. And I think we probably, from the many times we've talked about it, could have expected that it was a very interesting premise. All the men on Earth die, except for one. What does that mean? It's a very interesting, setup for things.
I always thought that, and this could be my own ignorance, I don't know, but I always thought that it was like a infertile thing, right? So it was like a slow,
like a Children of
decline.
Men-esque thing, maybe.
Yeah, slow decline in male population.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's definitely not the case.
No, it's very much a
boom.
Catastrophic event, kills all of the men, very, very quickly. And, it's like, oh God, what is happening,
And I think it's an interesting, I had to be sure to word this properly. There's a lot of shitty guys on the face of the earth right now, right?
Sure.
There's a lot of,
Sure.
you got all the Harvey Weinsteins and you got all this and you got all that. And so it's guys, I would say rightfully get a hard rap with just the way that fucking guys can be.
I think it's fair. Yeah, I get it.
So it's interesting that the show takes the point of remove all the guys from the fucking picture because it's a completely unique perspective, especially in today's environment where you remove what guys offer because currently there's a lot of bad press on guys because guys bring about their own fucking bad press because they're fucking idiots and they're fucking stupid and they're bad. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bad guys. But you remove all of them from the picture and then what do you get? We're shutting down the power plant. They're not picking up the trash. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. A lot of the stuff and it causes a lot of fucking problems naturally because half of the population's gone and I don't know. It's a different perspective on what would happen if normally these shows, if you show a problem with reproduction or if you show a problem with anything, it's usually pressed on women, right? Or we're not able to have babies anymore. That's usually the way that these post-apocalyptic kind of shows happen. There's a problem with fertility, right? And I'm in the middle of The Handmaid's Tale, so that's the most relevant thing that I know of. But even with Children of Man, we just can't have babies anymore. But they're still man and they're still women. We're just not making babies. Same thing with The Handmaid's Tale. We're just not making babies. And who to point the finger to? Who's the problem? Whether it's the male or the female, we don't know. And Handmaid's Tale, at least not as far as I'm at. But both sexes are still there. You know what I mean? This all men die, and it's really crazy because a lot of the female, at least from the trailer, a lot of the females start to get very aggressive, and they start to take what would be the quote unquote male perspective, like roles. You know what I mean? Like they just everything starts to deteriorate and people start to get really aggressive, and the females are the same way, even though the males are gone. I don't know. I just think it's a really interesting. I think it's an interesting thinking point at the very least. Like, what would happen if all the males died?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm talking too long. I'm rambling.
So, I'm a
couple mixed in.
Couple ultras in. Some people might say.
I've only had like 8 carbs. So fuck y'all.
I think it is an interesting premise, and I think that it's what makes for an interesting TV show. Is exploring that premise and seeing kind of the avenues that they go, because I think there are a lot of. There's any number of ways where you could predict it, and so I hope that this is a show that is pretty unpredictable in terms of where it goes, because it just, I don't know, like there's a lot that I think could be mined from this sort of premise, and I think especially because, like you said, it's that simultaneous kind of, everyone's dead, all at once, like that's a huge thing that would cause such a massive rupture in society. Like, obviously infertility would be huge too, but it's a more gradual kind of change. This is very much a overnight kind of dramatic shift. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. It's interesting to see, like I said, what they do with the premise. I think in terms of just what we got from the trailer, we get a sense of just the chaos, certainly, of the day of, that kind of just shit hitting the fan. And the we see a little kind of hint of what's to come after. I don't know. It looks intriguing to me. It looks pretty well shot. It seems it's going to be intriguing. I am curious to see how it comes together. It's based off of, you probably know this, but I think it's based off of comics, which I think have concluded a while ago. I think at this point it's a complete thing. So I'm sure they won't be getting through all of it in a single season. But this feels like a show that could go multiple seasons and kind of follow the comic books, or they can just do. End. Yeah. Or they could just do the Walking Dead thing and just make 9,000 seasons and just say, fuck
you,
it,
don't do that. Go and end and be happy that you win. Go in grace, as
4
they
seasons,
say.
5 seasons. I'll take 6. 6 isn't bad. We can make it work.
I find myself quoting, it's real bad. I find myself quoting Handmaid's Tale, like at work. Like the mechanic came in and said some shit, and I said, listen, Cliff, go in grace. It's like... Just go.
Go in grace. Go in grace. That's the old adage. Very applicable to TV shows that overstay them with their welcomes. Just go in grace. Don't prolong in disgrace or something like that. I don't know. But we'll see. It's 60 issues. I looked it up. It was 60 issues, ran from 2002 to 2008. Like, that's probably a pretty tight arc you can do. You don't need to do more than that. Like, obviously you don't have to do everything exactly the way that the comics did, and certain things maybe work on page that don't work on the screen, or you might want to shuffle things around or whatever. But like, the story's probably there. I feel like people are, hold this comic in high regard. It's probably pretty good. I can't personally attest to it. I haven't watched it. I haven't read it, but just make it consumable. Make it reasonable,
good.
Make it good. That's the bottom line. If something went on for 20 seasons and it was good continually, I guess fine. But like that doesn't happen. Like, that's just not how things work. You
don't
just
have that much content. You don't have it. You don't have it. Just go in grace. That's it.
Go in grace. Say no more. Go in grace. September 13th, this debuts. So right around the corner from when we're recording, a couple weeks away. So September 13th, look forward to the weekly releases of Y: The Last Man. And on September 24th, just a little bit later, you can look forward to the releases of another TV show coming exclusively to Apple TV Plus called Foundation. which we got a teaser for a while back. Clearly, this is an effects-heavy show. Something that's going to require a lot in the post-production process. But yeah, it's a sci-fi epic based on the novels by Isaac Asimov, and we got, I think, a fuller look here with this official trailer that we got. So what do you think? What do you think about Foundation? Are you looking forward to it?
So, Foundation trailer. So Apple TV has 3 different trailers for this thing. I don't know if you know this or not. But if you...
I know there's just the one, like I said, that we talked about, the teaser, but I think I've only seen that, and I've only seen this one, so I don't know what the third one would be.
So there's they break it up, and it's like under God, I can't remember. It's not going to be good if I try to remember, but it's like Fate and Duty,
like themed or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So those are the 3 trailers I've seen. I've been intrigued enough by the themes of this show or the history of this show or what have you to like look a little more into it. And so I've got like spoilers on this show based off of the books, but I've never read the books.
Okay.
So I don't need to elaborate on it any more than I am highly interested in this show. This is a show, much like Dune, I would be very interested to dive into the books of what the show is based off of. For the principal fact that much of our current, according to the people that made the YouTube channels and like wrote the reviews on this book and stuff, say that much of our current science fiction holds its like influences on the contents of this trilogy of books that this show's based on. Most of our current science fiction stuff is based off of this show or holds influences to the show. It makes me interested to want to dive into like the core of what it is. So the show itself seems interesting in and of its own right. I'd be interested to dive into the source material of what people say our current science fiction stuff is based off of, or what it it bases its influences off of, like the core materials of the show. So I want to read the books. Like iRobot is based off of this author that the show is based off of. There's like, I want to say like 6 novels that this show builds off of. I mean, there's like a principal like trilogy, but then there's like a prequel and there's like a sequel or whatever. I would just be interested to read the first book, and see what it's all about. It seems highly interesting. It seems very thought-provoking. And I think the show has the cast to deliver on what it intends to do. It seems like a thought-provoking show. It seems like Apple spent the money to... it kind of seems like a headline show for Apple.
From the looks of it, yeah. I mean,
it feels like
Lord of the Rings, obviously, but it feels... I did get Dune vibes, definitely. I think, it just feels like they went for it. They spent some money on it. Like they weren't afraid to just go for it, and trying to realizing the vision of what they were trying to do with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a headline show for the platform. And with that being said, I don't know if I'm currently paying for Apple TV or if I have it because I have Apple TV. I don't know. Who knows?
The actual device, right? So,
yeah, so I don't know how
that works. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I need to watch it. But if any show has... there's the... like the alternative future show with Mankind. It's something Mankind. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, For All Mankind.
Yeah, like,
which is supposed to be really good. I mean, I think there's a lot of shows on there. Ted Lasso is another one, very different genre, obviously, but a lot of critical buzz around like a lot of the Apple TV shows that they've been doing. So
yeah, and
there's no reason that this can't be
good
like those, you know. So
just seems kind of like more up my alley. Seems more like my stuff, you know. Yeah. So I'm incredibly intrigued by this show. So all the trailers, all of the content that you can watch. I've seen different trailers than this, but everything that I've seen for this show has seemed incredibly interesting and thought provoking, and I'm all about watching it. So I'm all in.
Yeah, I agree. It feels, just very, thought provoking, very interesting. Like, you know, I agree that the whole sense of like, this makes me want to go look at the original source material and see what it is and see how it's something that inspired.
And see, the thing about
decades
this show,
of sci-fi sense, but
this show doesn't seem like. I mean, The Expanse is cool because you got a lot of space warfare and stuff. Like, it seems like hot, like cool sci-fi shit, right? This seems more like a drama set within the future.
It seems more thoughtful, maybe more introspective, you know, more
which is vastly different than a lot of the sci-fi stuff that we get. Normally sci-fi stuff is centered around, you know, the technology or what have you.
Right.
Where this is more centered around
qualifies for that, you know.
Yeah, this seems like Game of Thrones centered in space. Which is cool. I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
so
I'm intrigued by it. I think intrigued is a great word for it. I'm definitely intrigued by it. I'm looking forward to it. I think Jared Harris is great. I look forward to anything.
Yeah, he's fucking cool, man. That guy is fucking real cool.
He is. He's a great actor. He's been in some of my favorite shows, for sure. And he's someone that.
What's he been in?
Well, he was in The Expanse for a brief time. I don't know if he's popped up in the later seasons at all, but Mad Men and Chernobyl. Chernobyl, obviously, I think are probably some recent where I recognize some TV examples.
Yeah.
So yeah,
good
Lee
actor,
Pace is great too. You know, I'm excited. I think it's got a good cast from what I can tell. I think there's some unknown faces to me in this trailer, but I think that's not necessarily
totally
a bad thing. Like it's you know, it's okay. You know, I feel like I can almost get in, sucked into some things more when I'm like, oh, I'm not taken out because that's what's his face or what's her face, you know. So
yeah,
I'm intrigued by it. I'm excited to see where it goes, you know, what it looks like, you know. I think the production values we can see on display in this trailer. We know it's going to be a very pretty show and certainly easy on the eyes to look at. So hopefully there's some depth and some quality to kind of back up the visuals too. And I think we get a sense that there definitely could be. Looking forward to it. So September 24th, this debuts on Apple TV Plus. And that brings us to our final trailer of this episode.
I need to send you a picture of this car we got in at the car lot. Speaking of which, I'm going to fucking own this car, just so you know.
Is this related to anything that you've been talking about?
No, it's going to be related to what we're about to talk about.
We're about to talk about. Okay. I wasn't sure if there was a connection there, but the final trailer is a Red Band trailer for another thing that has absolutely been almost about to come out for years and years and years. It's The King's Man, the prequel to Kingsman and Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which I think got, if I recall correctly, had a little bit of a New Mutants-esque treatment in a way. Like I think it just got delayed multiple times, and then it got pandemic affected.
It's
and
Ghostbusters.
Now it's finally coming out. It's a little Ghostbusters-esque. Yes, that was the touchstone I was talking about in terms of this episode. But yeah, it's now coming out in fucking December. This feels like a let's dump it in the middle of a month and call it a day kind of movie. But no, we're going to wait until December and put it out right before Christmas so it can get buried alive there. Under snow, of course, under snow. But, it's something that, the franchise has been 1 for 2, in my opinion. 1 for 2. Started with a bang, and then did not go with grace with its second entry. But this is very different. It's different cast, different setting. There's a car in it of some sort that seems to be meaningful for you. So what are you thinking about The King's Man, the 19th trailer that we've gotten for this film?
Did you get my text message?
Let me take a look and see if I got it. I did. Oh, very nice. So So what are we looking at here? What sort of vehicle is this?
So that is a 1929 kit car of some sort of Mercedes. It's got like Chevrolet motor and stuff in it, but it looks like fucking Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
It looks like it's got some bugles on the front of it.
Yes. It's got some big fucking horns on it. It's got a giant fucking eagle off the hood.
Nice.
I will. This car is not going to a customer.
It's going to you.
I will own this car. This car will be in the garage. I promise you. I told my dad, I said, listen, this car's not going anywhere. I want this car. So it doesn't matter, whatever. This car will be in my garage. Nobody can see this car except you and me. But it's like a fucking like lime green, dark green with like leather interior.
It's definitely an interesting paint job. I don't know if that's authentic
it's a weird color.
To when it was made, or if it was a custom job sense, perhaps. But
it's a weird color. I will give it
but
that.
It's fun.
I mean,
it's fun. It's unique, for sure.
It's a cool body style. It's all fiberglass. It's a kit car. So I mean, they just kind of fucking made it. Mm-hmm. But I am 110% about this car. And I'm not really 110% about really any car, to be completely frank. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to be driving that to work from now on. Whenever I can make that happen for myself. Okay. So anyways, it's relevant because it is roughly the same year as this movie is supposed to be taking place, and it's kind of the same kind of body style as the cars that we kind of see in this movie.
Yep.
I'm not going to tell you that this movie looks particularly good in any sort of fashion, other than it's got Voldemort in it, which is cool.
Does.
I'll take him.
He has a nose on this one, so he can breathe. He can breathe better.
That
smell things.
That man, Ralph. I just know Ralph.
Ralph.
I don't know his last name.
Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph is a good actor.
Mm-hmm. Ray Fiennes.
I think he's a very talented.
For those at home.
Yes, Ralph Fiennes. Yes, he's a very talented individual. I think he's very capable. And I think I would be lying to anybody if I say that I would not be excited to at least watch this movie. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be good, but much like the Fast and the Furious movies or what have you, like, it's just very much kind of my shit.
Yeah.
And it might be a very guilty pleasure.
The Kingsman the first Kingsman was ridiculous, right? Obviously it was ridiculous. Like, the whole plot was like, we're going to blow everyone's heads up because that we don't like or whatever it is. And if you're highborn or rich enough, then you can be excluded from this whole thing. It was very ridiculous, but it was very, very entertaining. The second one was also ridiculous, but far less entertaining and like uncomfortable in many moments. One particular moment was quite uncomfortable. You could say. I think it involved a tent at a music festival of some sort. Very uncomfortable. Just
forgot about that.
Just why? All around, just why?
What are you thinking?
All around, just why? Yeah, the second one was bad. The robot dog. I don't know. That movie just fucking... I really just didn't like that movie. I really just didn't like it, is kind of how I feel about it.
But you watched the trailers and you said, I'll go watch it.
Yeah, and this one is kind of the same way, where it's like, it's different enough. It's not a direct sequel to the second one, so I'm not like as bitter because they ruined everything. Like, okay, they're doing something different. But it is in that kind of boat where I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't look good either. But it might be fun. I don't know. It's an A-list kind of movie for me. Is kind of how I feel about it.
I'll go watch that shit.
Yeah,
I'll go watch it.
If it's entertaining and ridiculous, like, great. That's really all I ask out of it, is that it be entertaining and ridiculous. And and I think that the cast seems to be pretty good. The setting change is fun. It's not an amazing trailer for whatever reason. Like, it's not awe-inspiring or anything like that, but not bad enough that I'm like, oh, I gotta, no thank you, So, I don't know. I hope that it's something.
It looks outlandish enough to be fun. It looks grounded in history enough to be interesting, and it's got a good cast enough behind it to where I'll say,
we'll see what happens.
I'll go watch that shit in theaters. Yeah, I'll go see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's kind of where that's where I'm at with that one.
All right. So. I agree with that. I agree with all that. So anyway, December 22nd, it is coming out, and Merry Christmas to those that want to watch it, I guess is kind of what it turns out to be. So.
Yeah, I won't go see it at Christmas or around Christmas. I'll probably
give it a few days,
busy.
But
Is that on VOD? Will that be anywhere?
Probably not, but you maybe go see it, New Year's time or something like that. It'll still be lurking around, I'm sure.
And that's another thing too. My perspective on going to see movies in the movie theaters completely changed. Like, I mean, man, just being able to watch something at home is just fucking cool.
Well, I think certainly that's understandable. Your setup is quite good at home, and I also don't think you have theaters super convenient to you. Like, I'm in a great position now because Anna and I can walk 12 minutes and see a movie in Dolby or even just regular. Like, that's not bad. You can't.
That's real good.
Real good, in fact. So, driving 20 minutes or whatever, maybe even more, probably for your case, to see something, even with A-list, it's like, that's an investment of time. You gotta carve out time for it and commit to it and whatnot.
I can make dinner and watch it at home.
Yeah.
And it sounds good.
Yeah.
Even if Anna doesn't like the subwoofers, like
they were a little loud. They were a little loud. I must confess. But. Anyway, that is it for the news. Oh my goodness, it's time to talk about The Green Knight, which maybe is the kind of film that you carve out a couple hours and you do go see it at a theater, which I think is what you did in the first instance.
You do go see this movie in theaters.
So it is out in theaters. At this point, it may not be in a ton of theaters, but certainly you can still try to see if it's playing somewhere near you. But otherwise, it is available now on video on demand. I think it's the 48-hour rental for $20 or something like that. So there are a few ways to still consume The Green Knight. In terms of the box office, I think this is not a type of film. We talked about A24 enough that I think people get a sense that A24 are not, Marvel Studios films or anything close to that. But I think this film did okay for like what it was trying to do. It made, I think, $6.8 million in its opening weekend, finished second place behind Jungle Cruise, which, was a Disney film.
That's fucking incredible.
Yeah,
that's
like really not bad at all. Had a decent drop in its second weekend, 62% drop, but it could be worse. I mean, honestly, like, this isn't doing any worse than the Suicide Squad is, which is kind of crazy in a way, but
that is nuts.
I mean, it is doing worse, but like, of course it is. Like, everyone expects it to.
It's the fucking Green Knight.
It's the fucking Green Knight, correct? By A24. So the fact that it's it's made for $15 million and it's made more than that in terms of its box office, so like that's A24. Like they're not putting a lot of money behind things and they're not expecting a ton of return, but what they do value is giving artists room to realize their vision and give them a distribution platform that's pretty successful and this is something that got a pretty good release.
And I think all things considered, I think that's incredibly successful.
I think so.
For what this movie is, I think that's to be set to say that you are behind Suicide Squad as a art house film is huge.
Yes.
Like, I mean, that's
to be in the neighborhood of it. You know what I mean?
It's
like
wildly successful.
To be in the conversation. Like, okay, I'll take that. Can't find fault with that. So yeah, I think overall success story. Obviously critically well received as well. I think chilling in the high 80s on the old Rotten Tomato, on the old tomato meter. But that is of no import because Andrew and I, We don't rely on Rotten Tomatoes. We offer our own opinions, and we have opinions on The Green Knight. So let me tell you a few things about The Green Knight before we do give our opinions. It is... Let me make sure I get all of the roles correct here. It was written, directed, edited, and produced by one man, David Lowery, going all in on The Green Knight, putting all of his effort into this thing, based on the poem Sir Gawain and the Green Knight by Anonymous.
Whoever.
Who's to say? We will never know, probably.
David Lowery is obviously as inspired as myself.
Correct.
By the fun
even
facts
more. Perhaps
that I
even
delivered. Right.
Yeah, he's all in. He's definitely all in on this poem. So The Green Knight, the film, stars Dev Patel, Alicia Vikander, Joel Edgerton, Sarita Chowdhury, Barry Keoghan, Aaron Kellyman, Kate Dickey, Sean Harris, and Ralph Ineson. It is an epic fantasy adventure based on the timeless Arthurian legend telling the story of Sir Gawain, or as they say in this film, like 19 different fucking ways to say it. Gawain, I don't even know. Anyway, Sir Gawain, which I think is the understood modern pronunciation, but hey man, go off. He is King Arthur's reckless and headstrong nephew who embarks on a daring quest to confront the eponymous Green Knight, a gigantic emerald-skinned stranger and tester of men. The Green Knight, man, there's a lot to unpack here. You saw this a few weeks ago with your soon-to-be father-in-law, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. It wasn't his movie.
And you're right. And I think that's going to, I think we can get it out of the way right now. It's not a movie for everyone, for sure. And that'll bleed into our recommendations, certainly. But, like as we said with the A24 films, very specific types of films for the most part. This one is absolutely not an exception. It's an art house film. It's an art house film.
And I feel like this film in particular is very much a book brought to life on film, right? Like you can very much picture this film
in written form.
Book form.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're very much, they're interchangeable. So that's to say that the abstract things that you find in written format are present in the film. Or present, in visual format. So it's not like an easy translation. It's not like a direct translation. And in those things, like if you bring what you read to film and you put it on screen, it's not like a 1-to-1 thing, right? Like it's I don't know. It takes interpretation. And I think that I don't know. I'm just gonna go. I've been excited about this movie. I just want to fucking talk about it.
Tell me everything.
This movie is 110% fucking beautiful. Like it's so well shot. If anybody were to present to me any frame in this movie and say, hey, listen, I printed out a frame for The Green Knight. Here's a picture of it, and you can put it on your wall. I would be 110% excited about that. Like, it's such a beautiful movie. It's so well shot. I don't know who shot this movie. You think I would have it, being that, I co-host a podcast, I would know who shot this movie, but I don't. I don't have it in my forefront.
Cinematographer is Andrew Droz Palermo. And I don't know that he's done a ton of stuff just from a brief glance of it. He did A Ghost Story, which was also directed by David Lowery, so he's worked on some stuff.
He was brought, he worked with him. The director.
Your Next, VHS, both Adam Wingard films. He's the guy that did Godzilla vs. Kong, and he did kind of more indie artsy stuff before that. And a few other, a handful of other credits, but
very talented dude, though. Super talented dude. I think that the coolest thing about this movie is the colors, and just the more nuanced level of photography that they had in this movie. It adds layers to the story. It's a really cool thing when cinematography or just the way it's edited, or the way that that they post comp everything adds so many layers to like what characters are feeling, or what the topography of the story is going through, or whatever. And it just adds so much. Like, there's just so much visual information coming through. And it's astounding. I think this is I'm going to use my my
patented Andrew review.
Yes. This is a tour de force. This is the like Dune may pull from this. But if you want to look at a movie to say, like, how do I tell a story? Like, you could look at Baraka. Baraka is a movie that I always go back to. I think it's a beautiful movie. It's a movie shot. It's a movie told through cinematography. But how do I encapsulate the feelings of my characters with cinematography and colors? And I think you get it in this movie. And I think and I don't know, without like going scene by scene with you or with listeners or whatever, I don't know how to properly convey my thoughts about, like how colors convey messages and that sort of thing. But I do think that they encapsulate it in one sequence in the movie, and we'll talk about it in spoilers. But there's one sequence in this movie where they talk about the color green and what it means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think it was incredibly powerful, especially just for like, encapsulating the color palette and what things mean in the movie. And I think that was a really unique perspective that they took the time to poetically put it into words what green means, and what characters mean, and they kind of put it all into words in one sequence in the movie. And I thought it was very poetic, and I thought it was very well written, which segues me to the next point, which is how well written the movie is. It's written in a way that is, it's very old timey. It's very, Arthurian or, I don't know. I'm not properly educated on on the way things are written in Old English and such. But it's not so far timey and Old Englishly that it's hard to follow, which makes it easy to appreciate. And I think that it's incredibly well written. I think it's incredibly tight, which is going to segue me into acting. I think that the acting prowess in this film, specifically Dev Patel, I think he is he put it all into this movie. I'm predisposed to Sean Harris. I think he's a really good actor. But I think he really put it out in this movie as well. But even specifically the female actresses in this movie, they all portrayed a different side of just what they intended to put out. I think the female actresses nailed it 110%. Like, you have female actresses that were meant to be like love lines, and then you have female actresses that were specifically there to be lustful, and you have female actresses that were there to be caring, and I just think there's all, like, man, it just encapsulates all sorts of different aspects of life. Man, this fucking movie. It really nailed me really hard. Like, I thought I just really enjoyed this movie. The score was incredible.
Yeah.
It was impactful. It kind of put you on the edge of your seat. It kind of put you down in the middle of your seat, like when you wanted to feel down about something, or if you wanted to feel dirty about something, or if you wanted to, the score of this film put you in the position of Sir Gawain. And I think that like, if you're going to make a score about a movie about a person going through a journey, I think that's the perfect perspective to put it in. Like, if we're going to score this movie around anything, do we score it around, like, what's going on the camera? Do we score it around the particular character? Like, how do we score this? How do we score this movie? Well, let's score it from the perspective of the main character. And I think they absolutely nailed it. Whether that's highs, whether that's lows, whether that's like on the edge of your seat, whether it's lustful or what have you. The score, you could just listen to the score alone and with no words throughout the entire film and get the perspective of the character from the score. Right? And I think that's the movie is told through the score of the film. And I think that's, oh man, it's just like another thing. It's another thing that compounds on the excellence of this film. It's just so good. Right? Now, that's not to say that this film isn't for everybody, because it's not. Right? Because it's not all there out in front of you. Like, you get from this movie what you want to pull out, right? The amount of investment that you put in the character, the amount of investment that you put in the appreciation of the score, the amount that you put into the film is what you pull out. But I will say that I think that if you are willing to invest your time, invest the amount of interpretation required to pull out every sort of aspect of the film, I think that it is there to reward you. I think that this is an incredibly rewarding film if you're willing to put in the time to recognize the amount of work that was put into it. Yeah, like, I only watched it once. I was going to watch it again, and I tried to watch it again, and I was pulled out of it. And it's not a movie that you can be pulled out and then, like, re-enter. So, like, I couldn't watch it again. But I wanted to. And I will watch this movie again, and I think that I will benefit from watching it again. It's a movie that I was super hyped up about, and it's a movie that I was super rewarded about being hyped up about. Like, very, very seldom am I hyped up about something to this extent, and I feel like I'm rewarded for it. A lot of times, it's like I was overhyped. The trailer was like, kudos to the marketing team because they fucking delivered, and they oversold. You know what I mean? This is something that I felt like I was hyped up for, and I got everything that I was expecting. And boom, that's where I leave my pre-spoiler thoughts.
Yeah.
God damn, that felt good. I felt like I
good to get
said
it off your
everything
chest.
I wanted to say.
It's been years in the works that you've been waiting to see this fucking thing, and you've probably been sitting on your thoughts now for probably close to a month, if not over.
Yeah,
at
and
this
I
point,
felt like I verbalized things exceptionally well.
Damn it, I nailed it, man. Yeah. No, it. And I think ultimately, really, what it is it feels good to be excited for something and to feel vindicated by your excitement. It's not a disappointment. It hits the mark of what you're expecting, and I think even, and maybe I'm just talking about my experiences, I think it challenged me in ways that I didn't expect it to. Like, it still, even though I expected to be liking it and excited by it, I still left the theater thinking, shit, I didn't see some of that coming. Like, it pushed into different directions that I maybe didn't see coming in the first place. That's my experience. I don't know if that's speaking to yours as well.
No, it's absolutely true.
But I think that's the kind of thing that you love is like, like I want to be satisfied. Of course I want to be satisfied, but to be left surprised and going through the gamut of emotions.
Like you can rewatch it again. You can rewatch it again and get something else from the movie.
This is a film that a rewatch would I think help a lot, just to give it more value. And that's not to take away from the first viewing of it, but it's a packed film. It's dense and not in a bad way. But there's a lot going on, and I think I'll back up in a second, but
to give credit to the source material, there's a reason why this story has lasted and it's been told through thousands, or not thousands, but almost 1,000 years.
Close to, yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It
definitely.
There's a lot here.
Yes.
And you get it in the written medium, and you get it in the visual medium, which is fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I totally agree. I'll start from the top. How's that? I'll start from the top. I think a lot of what
you spiel, you give your spiel.
My spiel.
I'm going to push away the microphone.
We'll see how satisfied I feel at the end of it. A lot of what I'm going to say is probably going to be fairly similar to you. I think I was excited for this film. I don't think I was excited to the level that you were excited for it. I think this and Dune, I think have been kind of neck and neck for a while of like the two things for you. Whereas for me, it's usually always the next like Marvel movie is in the fold somewhere. So I was excited for it, very intrigued by it, looking forward to it. I finally made the space to watch it. Actually, while I was up in Vermont, I went to a theater to watch it. Like an indie, not really an indie theater, kind of an indie theater. They didn't have stadium seating. It was pretty standard fare in terms of the projection of it. But I knew that it was the film that at least I wanted to be in a theatrical setting to see, because I knew that I think as you kind of alluded to or touched on, you got to be in the mood for it. You got to be willing to give yourself over and willing to be engulfed into the story, into the film itself. And I was up and it was not a film I was going to watch not in my home on TV speakers. You know what I mean? Like that would have done it such a disservice that I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, right? And I knew I was going to be home for a couple of weeks and I didn't want to wait. So we watched it when we did, and it was like $7 for like a matinee. It was totally worth it. And it was kind of nice because I like the idea of supporting a art housey type film, an A24 film, and a kind of indie type cinema. So that was kind of a fun viewing experience of just doing it that way. Said not the best viewing experience, not pristine. Had some weirdos in my audience. There's a scene early in the film where there's a feast, and I heard some murmuring behind me, and I was just like, wow, actually this theater is pretty good. There's some really good surround sound work going on right now. No, it was just some fucking old people in the back chatting throughout the first like 15 minutes of the film. They finally shut up, which was appreciated. What was not appreciated, however, was I think like an hour plus into the film, seeing flashes from their phones, like camera flashes from their phones. They were literally taking pictures of the screen, and I was like, oh man, are these people taking selfies in the back of the theater? Like, what the hell is going on over there? And no, they were just taking pictures of the screen, and they were ancient. And I don't mean that in a mean way, you know what I mean? But like, we Anna and I left the cinemas and we saw them come out. They were barely capable of walking. It was just such a bizarre encounter. But they I think 4 separate times took a picture of the screen with the flash going off in a pitch black room, everyone turning around that was in there, like 8-9 people. Like, it was pretty limited audience. Just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, what is the purpose of this? Are you taking a picture of the screen so you can put it on Facebook? Like, what are you doing? It's like, why?
It was so pretty they had to take a picture.
I guess so. Maybe that's what it was. Anyway, not the point, but I had to get it off my chest because honestly, it was very, very bizarre.
It's almost the same as like the kids in during that Lego movie that I watched in Brandon.
I get just, like... kids running around being little shits. Like that's in their nature. Like they're coded to do that.
Well, old people are the same way with their phones.
They don't understand technology, so I'm just going to take pictures with the flash on and like, what? Why?
Same difference.
Just truly why? I'm like,
it's the same parallel.
Anyway.
Different age spectrums. That's it.
Anyway, what I will say about The Green Knight as a film, again, I think will echo a lot of what you've already said. I think it's at the top, beautifully shot film. One of the most beautiful films I think that we'll see this year, and I hope that Dune rivals it. And I hope that we'll see other films that rival it. But I think pure cinematography, you're not going to see much better than what you get with The Green Knight. The use of colors, particularly as you talked about, are striking, impactful, and memorable. And I think that the story itself is just really, really interesting and really compelling. And I say this as someone that's not really familiar with kind of how the story is. This is a movie that I watched. There were gaps that I had after the movie. I was just like, I didn't quite get what was going on there. I didn't quite get what was going on there. And some of that maybe we can talk about in spoilers, but there was a lot that I just like, was just like, I'm really intrigued by everything I saw. I wasn't frustrated by the fact that I didn't know everything, but I'm like, I'm curious, and I looked a lot of stuff up and like tried to engage in conversations, online and read people's responses and theories and stuff like that, because there were things that I think that weren't super, super clear to me. But I liked having all that discourse around it. I felt it kind of enhanced the experience of it, is seeing what people thought about this, thought about that. I liked that. That's going to be a frustrating viewing experience, I'm sure, for many. I've just been like, well, I don't get it. You know what I mean? And like, I didn't get it either, but it was fine. Like I had an idea of it. I had some sort of, conception of it, and that was like good enough for me, especially coupled with everything else that I got out of the film. So I really liked the story. I liked the story of Sir Gawain. I liked the whole thing of the Green Knight coming in and doing what he does, and how it builds to its climax, and the fallout of that, and just the way that it approaches that. Like, it's a kind of methodical method of storytelling. It's kind of chapter driven. You have these named kind of chapters throughout the film, which I think are very cool. I know I kind of like that as a storytelling technique. Get it in your Tarantino's and stuff, I guess, but you don't really see it super often, I think, with
no, not in the visual medium.
Right.
It feels very much like a storybook.
Yeah, right. And obviously this is adapting a story, a written story, but kind of maintaining that was kind of fun to see. Although there was one chapter, I can't remember what it was called, but I couldn't fucking read it. The font was basically indecipherable. I don't know what it said. I think I had to look it up after. I was just like, I can't. I turned to Anna. I was just like, what the fuck did that just say? I couldn't read it. It was pretty funny. But I liked the story, the themes that it kind of did, that it went with Sir Gawain and his whole challenge and him as a character, building him as a character, and his interactions with other people. I found all of it very compelling. Now, and it's I'm looking at it on Wikipedia. It's 130 minutes, so it's just over 2 hours. I do think it's kind of methodically paced, which is to say that I think it's kind of slow. It's a kind of slow film.
It's a slow movie.
It's a slow burn, but in a good way. And it's not that like, it's like an hour and a half of just like kind of slow build, and then it's 30 minutes of like action. It's not that movie, obviously. It's still it's a very heady kind of movie, a challenging kind of movie. But I think that for me, by the time that it reached the directed by blah, 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 all that, like I felt rewarded by the experience of giving myself over to it. And I think that's kind of what you're touching on. And, when you tried to watch it the second time, it's like, you gotta be in for it. And the first time I watched it, and obviously the first time you watch anything, for the most part, if you're engaged, you're going to be engaged. You're sticking with it until the end. And for me, I was engaged and very much looking forward to the next thing or the next chapter, or, like, okay, that was really interesting. What does that mean? How is that going to play in, to the rest of the film? I don't know. I liked the adventure, I guess, of going through it and enjoying kind of each step of the story. I found it just very kind of compelling and very interesting. But I acknowledge too, there were times where I'm just like, okay, I don't know where this is going, and it's like, okay, these people are taking pictures behind me. It's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on. It's taking me out of the movie. How much time do we have left? So I think it's a film that you kind of have to give yourself over to. And
Definitely.
That'll that's a recommendation type thing, but
I wholeheartedly feel like it's an experience kind of thing. You have to, I don't know, you gotta be in it, and you have to want to watch through it. It's not something that you're gonna pause and then like go back to or anything else. You can't. You just have to watch it. You have to experience it and be in it. And I think that we haven't had a whole lot of movies like this year.
No, not at all.
But I think that this is a movie that's best experienced in a kind of theater environment.
I think so. You need to be in a dark room, and no distractions. Put your fucking phone away. Like, sit there and just take it in. That's how I think you have to do it.
And I think that that's how you. Case in point, I tried to watch it at home, and then I couldn't. I had some issues come up or whatever, and it's not the same. You can't re-enter it. I mean, if you can dive in at home or what have you, and be completely like 100% devoted to what you're watching at home, then great. But if not, like, I feel like this is a movie that's elevated because of the theater atmosphere. I mean, when you go to the theater, the intention is to be 100%
engrossed in what
you're watching. Right, yeah. Exactly. And I think that's elevated in the theater atmosphere. So, I mean, there's some movies that are elevated because of that atmosphere that you get in the theater, and I think this is one of them.
Definitely. So, anyway, I'll just wrap up my thoughts because we're kind of dovetailing into recommendation anyway. Score was great. The composer, I want to give credit to him. Daniel Hart did the score on this. Great, definitely elevated the film. And then finally, huge props owed to Dev Patel, who carries this movie in a big way. And that's not to the detriment of the supporting players. Alicia Vikander pulling double duty, as we'll talk about in spoilers. She was great. And I think you get a lot of great actors in very bit roles. Sir Gawain goes on his journey, and he has, this story that he goes on, and then he moves on to the next step of his tale. And yeah, exactly. With that sort of thing. I did get video gamey vibes out of it. Not in a bad way, but just like, I'm on a quest for this character, and then I'm on another quest for this character as I traverse the land, and I liked that. I liked that it was a very simplistic kind of plot progression, but in a good way. Like, each time I'm learning something, or I'm trying to learn something and failing at it, or whatever the case may be, and I think that every step of the way, there was a new interesting character brought to life by a new interesting actor. So Joel Edgerton was great. Sean Harris, you mentioned, as the king, was very good as King Arthur, was great. The Green Knight himself, cool kind of design, makeup, and prosthesis, and just all of it's fucking cool. I'll just say that as my bottom line. It's a very cool movie. It's one that's not going to be for everyone, and we'll get into that and momentarily, but I wasn't sure if starting it, like, I was excited for it, and I knew it was going to be artsy, and I knew it was going to be kind of out there, and I was ready to take it in, but I wasn't sure how it was going to resonate with me. Was it going to be like, yeah, it was pretty cool, but like, okay. And like, honestly, coming out of it, I was just like, that was really good. I didn't get all of it, but I think I enjoyed, what I saw. And it's a film that's kind of sat with me since. And I appreciate that, because we haven't had that kind of film in a long, long time. That's just kind of, worms your way into your brain, and you just kind of think about it. You got a dull moment, and your brain just drifts to thinking about, like, so what was that about? What happened in that scene? And I felt like, I don't know, this is the kind of film that we don't see super often, and I appreciate when it comes along because it does get you into that headspace where you're just sitting there thinking about it, sitting there just
movie,
pondering.
Man. What a fucking movie!
I think it's a testament to the quality of it, right? Even if on first pass I didn't think, oh my god, I would have loved it so much, I got to watch it again, and I want to watch this movie again, but I don't need to watch it right now. I'm content to give it a little while, and I'll pick it up on 4K probably when it comes out, and then just watch it that way. I'm fine to do that. But I do think it's a testament to the movie that even if I'm not going to need to rewatch it immediately, that I do want to rewatch it, and it's still sitting with me to this day. Even for me, a couple weeks passed since I've seen it. For you, even longer. But yeah, it's just a really, really great film. So yeah, why don't we do a recommendation, and then we can hash out some spoilers since we've probably got some details to talk about. So recommendation's a hard one. I think with this one, but
yeah, I mean, you just have to be deliberate about how you deliver the recommendation. So I think as a story told in the visual medium, I think that this is a very yes film. I don't think that you can take the acting prowesses that were present in this film. I don't think that you can take the cinematography that was present in this film. I don't think that you could take the score that was present in this film and say that the direction of the film wasn't as intended. It was very much intentional, and it was a very directional input on how we want to deliver this thing. And they delivered it. I think that they 110% delivered on what they wanted to deliver. With that being said, it's not going to be for everybody. They didn't make this movie for everybody. But who they did make this movie for, I think that it delivered 110%. I think it's a tour de force movie. I think it's a tour de force movie. I think if you take the time to separate what your expectations are, if you just take a story, just take a story, bingo, that's it. I'm just going to take a story, and I'm going to want to experience this story of Sir Gawain. What's the arc of Sir Gawain? I think that you get everything that you could ever want for the story of Sir Gawain in the story, right? I don't think it missteps anything at all. Yeah, some of the shit's kind of abstract, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's some of the stuff is heady and abstract, but at the same time, if you put yourself in Sir Gawain's boots and try to put yourself in his perspective, the things that people experience on the day-to-day is heady and abstract, and people don't know how to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I personally can't find any fault in this movie. I think it's excellent. I think that pacing's excellent. It's slow. It's methodical. It's not an action movie. Some people might say, hey, listen, it's a King Arthur movie, and maybe there's going to be some sword fighting and shit. There's no sword fighting and shit. Watch the trailer. I didn't think there was going to be any sword fighting in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did not think it. I think the marketing team delivered what the movie was. I think everything was as expected, and as a result of the marketing team and the way the movie was sold to me and the way the movie was presented to me and everything, I think I got everything I absolutely wanted. And KJ Seabird, Sarah's father, my future father-in-law. I call him KJ Seabird. He said this movie is a cult movie. The people that wanted something from this movie got something from this movie, and it's not hard to see why. But if you're a common, I don't want to say that. That sounds bad. But if you're not going into this movie expecting something artistic and something that requires a little bit of work on your part to interpret, and you're going to be disappointed. It's not served on a silver platter. It's very much a piece of art. It's very much a can't think of my fucking word.
I don't know. Sorry.
It's very
Can't
much
offer a lifeline.
You're okay. It's very much it's a written thing, right? It's very much I can't think of my words. It's very much something that requires a little bit of thought. Sure. It's very much it's a written book put into the visual medium, right? And it's written that way. And so if you don't want to put in the work, you won't receive a lot from it. But I think that if you want to watch something that you want to think about, and you want to think about after the viewing, and you want to think about, and you can get something after the fact. I 110% think that you can get something after you watch the movie. It's something for you. There's a lot there for everyone if they want to put in the work to watch it. And if they want to put in the work to interpret it. I think it's a beautiful movie, and I can't think of a movie that I was more excited about that delivered 110%. And for that reason, this has been a very long-winded explanation for my recommendation. I will 110% say that. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit of a whine in and some mix in. But God damn it, I'm excited to tell you that this is a very yes movie, and The Green Knight did not disappoint me, and it delivered on every front. And I'm very happy to say that. I'm super fucking happy to say that. So, anyways, long-winded explanation to you.
Maybe
sir.
it got lost in the shuffle there, and I just didn't hear it.
You can kind of edit that shit.
we'll see. Did you give it the very yes?
It's a
treatment?
very yes,
very
absolutely.
Okay.
Highest recommendation.
I just wanted to put a fine point on it, but
highest recommendation from me. Very yes.
Okay. Well, I'll join you with that, and I'll try to keep it a little more succinct if I can.
Thank you. Dial me in, please.
I think the bottom line, and I have the advantage of just riding off your coattails at this point for both non-spoilers and recommendations so far. I don't have to say too much, too many original thoughts. Look, it's not going to be for everyone. I think as you said, and in other words, you can look at the trailer and probably get a sense of is this going to be for me or not. And if you look at the trailer and say, I don't know, probably not for you. That's fine. That's fine. You know what I mean? Whereas if you are intrigued by it and you think, okay, this looks interesting, I like the vibe of this, give it a go. I think that it's the kind of movie that's going to be for you. And I think generally speaking, people can identify if they go for art house type films in the first place or not. You should know. You probably you'll know. I don't mean that pejoratively. I just mean you'll know. You know what you like, and you like what you like, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Andrew and I know what we like. We know that we're up for something like this. It doesn't mean that we're going to like everything that gets thrown at us. It doesn't mean that
And you don't get this a lot. You don't get something like this a lot.
But I think there's the type of people that will turn their nose up at big budget films because, it's big Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. We're not that either, So, I think, for me, I think Andrew and I are open to a lot of different things. We like our Disney movies. We like our art house films. We like our A24 horror films and A24 otherwise films. The Minaris, the Green Knights. They're kind of in our wheelhouse. It's a wide and an all encompassing kind of wheelhouse. But
we
I
like movies, man. We like good movies.
We can appreciate the different types of movies that come along. Not everyone's gonna be appreciated. It's not all gonna be to our tastes, certainly, but if we can like Sonic, we can like some other films, and it's a very wide range of things. And so, that all being said, assuming that it's in your wheelhouse as it was for ours, I do think it's a very S film. I really do. I mean, top to bottom, it's just incredibly, incredibly well made, from cinematography to the score to the acting to production design to the story. The writing of it, top notch. All of it top notch, and it really comes together, makes you think, challenges you while you're watching it, leaves you thinking after the fact. It's all the kind of the marks of a good, compelling film that you'd want. So, yeah, two-tiered kind of thing. Are you up for it? If so, I think you're in for a treat. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Just really, really satisfied with it. I'm glad that it at least lived up to my expectations, and to be honest, I'm glad that it lived up to Andrew's. There's nothing more crushing than not liking something that you've been awaiting with bated breath for years. It's awful. No one wants that. So. It's great when you're not dealing with that, and I think we can definitely say that The Green Knight hit the mark for both of us in a big way. So that's what you've heard in terms of recommendation. Let's talk some spoilers. Let's talk some spoilers for The Green Knight. Full spoilers for The Green Knight, and I don't know what the best way to approach this is. I don't know if you just want to bounce around, just kind of things that come to mind. I know, obviously it's been a little while since we've watched some of this, but if you have somewhere you want to start in particular, feel free.
So I'll just start with the most profound moment in the whole movie for me. The most profound moment was when, and I can't remember the character's name, but it was,
I have the Wikipedia page up, so if you describe things, I can probably fill in
Joel
gaps.
Edgerton's wife.
The lady. She's just called the lady. Yeah.
Yeah, the lady. She tempted Sir Gawain with the temptation of the flesh.
The temptation of the flesh. She was wearing a very wide, low cut dress.
Yeah, like her whole point was to tempt him to,
And there's the obvious point of it's literally the same actor that was playing the commoner or whoever that he was fancying back home in Camelot. So there's kind of the double casting there. So she looks like this person.
It's apparent.
That,
it's a deliberate thing for them to do that, right? So anyways, so she talks about how my favorite part of the movie was how she was talking about the green and how I can't remember all of it. It was very poetic. If I could recite it, it would be beautiful. It'd be totally fucking awesome. I'd be a scholar if I could recall it. But she talks about like how how people die and they return to the earth and they I don't know, all sorts of shit happened when she was doing that, and that was my favorite part of the movie where they were talking like in front of a hearth or something, and she talked about the color green, and it kind of like gave the whole personification to the Green Knight and everything else, which was cool. And the second thing that I liked most about this movie was just like the Sir Gawain was of high birth, and he had access to like money and this and that, and how he grew as a person, and how he found his honor. And I think that's the core principle of the story is holding true to like what's right and what's wrong, what's honorable, what's not. And I think it's a truly beautiful story of what makes a good person, what makes a bad person. You know what I mean? And what it is to find what's right and what's wrong, and what's honorable and what's not. Especially when he's confronted with the Green Knight at the end of the movie, and he gets that like whole future, like he gets the whole future thing. Like I go back home and this and that, and I have that thing that his mother gave it to him, and then he lost it, and then that lady gave it back to him, the band or whatever that protects him from
the protection. Yeah, right.
Gives him the protection. And what's interesting is how he finds like the best character developments happen when he doesn't have it, right? When he doesn't have that protection, he becomes more, and then that lady at the end gives him that protection, and he takes it, and he doesn't share that with Joel Edgerton. And he goes and confronts that Green Knight, and he wasn't going to share the fact that he's protected by it because he's scared. And then he sees his life flash before his eyes if he were to keep it. And he doesn't, and all sorts of bad shit happens, right? Like it's not a life he wants to live. And so he takes it off and says, okay, take my life. You know what I mean? I don't want it. And at that point, he gets his honor. It's fucking cool, man. It's fucking really cool. And I don't know, totally 110% bought into the story device of this movie. And I think it's just, I don't know, resonates 1,000 years later. And I think that's the coolest thing. The story was told 1,000 years ago, and it still resonates. And that's profound. Like, that's so cool. And it's told in the visual medium, and the Green Knight was his mother was the Green Knight. She puts the blindfold on.
Oh, right. Yeah. She's the one that basically brings him about to prompt the challenge and all that. Yeah. And ultimately, the Green Knight, at least what I gathered from what I've read, from what the story is versus what the story in the actual movie we watched is, the mother and King Arthur devised this way to have Sir Gawain grow as a person, right? To not be a shit anymore.
Yeah,
he's a little bit of a shit. He needs a motive. He needs an impetus to become a little bit more knightly, to not be cowardly, to grow as a person. This is a way for him to come into his own. Right?
Yeah, and it's profound. It's really fucking good. Like there's all sorts of parables that are told within this movie, whether it's money, whether it's like lust, or whether it's X, Y, and Z.
Right.
There's all sorts of parables that are told within this one story that help a certain character grow, and he grows.
Right. And so I'm gonna cut in just for a second.
Yeah, no, isn't there
like during the feast sequence, aren't they talking about like the ideals or like the things that like knights or whoever should be in like that? I feel like that early sequence are like there's like these virtues that people or knights should be. Am I misremembering?
Which one is this? What are you talking about?
I feel like when they're in the feast sequence in the beginning, when the Greek knight
Christmas
eventually
dinner.
comes along, the Christmas dinner, they're like talking about like, here are the things that knights should be, like,
Yeah, so he says in the movie anyways. I mean, I can't speak about the
I'm
book.
just talking about the movie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the movie he talks about how he's surrounded by legends. Mm-hmm. And King Arthur comes to him and says, "Listen, I want you to tell me a story about yourself. So that I might know thee," is what he says. And I thought, God, brings me like, oh, dude. I cry about everything. But I'm going to tell you when Sean Harris says, "Tell me a story so I might know about thee." Oh, dude, it's just so good. It's so fucking good. He says, you're of my sister's womb. You're cleft of my sister's womb. I think is something along the lines of what he says. Mm-hmm. You're cleft of my sister's womb, and you're of my blood. Tell me a story so that I might know thee. You know what I mean, or something along those lines. Yeah. And he said, and then Sir Gawain says, "I have no story. I have no story for you." Because all he knows is drinking and going to the brothel or whatever. You know what I mean? He has no story. He has no story for himself. Look around you and look around the people around you and see what they, who are you surrounded by? He says, "I'm surrounded by legends. I'm surrounded by people that have stories."
Yeah.
And I've got nothing to honor. I've got nothing to surely those people who have spilt blood in your name have more connection to you than I, and Guinevere, I think is her name, which is King Arthur's wife. She says, "You have no story yet. You have no story yet. You have no story yet to offer us." And that's when King Arthur steps up and says, "Hey, listen, hey guys around the round table or whatever, everybody here, give me a story, offer me a story for, and then that's when the Green Knight comes in. But he's got nothing to honor. He's got nothing to offer the king. He's got no story for himself. He has nothing. He's done nothing to earn the respect of the king, other than his bloodline, other than the fact that he happens to be born, of the king's sister or whatever, and all he has to offer is to grow, Yeah, and that's all he does in everything he does in this movie is grow as a character, which is fucking cool. Because you see him, like the king goes to him before he goes on his journey, and he like wipes the mud off of his face. He comes home drunk, and he's like, "Ah, you got mud on your face." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He wipes the mud off of his face. "My tooth hurts. I'm gonna wipe the mud off your face." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he goes on his journey, which is fucking cool, man. It's just it's a really cool. It's like the epitome of like character development.
It is. It's interesting because I feel like, for at least again, just watching it the one time, I feel like it's a struggle. The character development is a struggle. Like, Gawain's kind of viewpoint is, well, I'm destined to be great. I'll find my story and I'll be great. And I feel like he kind of struggles to get to that point. I mean, I think he does eventually kind of realize it. I think, especially after he kind of that vision of the future where it's, what kind of life is this? He finally finds some sort of bravery. Well, but it almost feels like
it's really interesting because he like in the very beginning of the movie, he tries to get and I don't know her name, but the lady that he's infatuated with. She's running away from him, so he flicks like a coin at her, right? And they make a special point to zoom in on the coin, and she doesn't respond to it. And then when he's confronted by the person in like the graveyard after the battle, the kid that ends up robbing him and stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah.
What's he do? He offers a coin.
Flips him a coin.
Yeah, flips him a coin. So he's very much infatuated with the fact that he has money that he can just, he's not doing the, like, he's not a bad person by what he wants to do, but he thinks that the coin immediately offers him the proper way through. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's
true. Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. Because he goes through at least 2 sequences of the film offering coin to get what he wants. And it's not the coin that gets him what he wants, but it's his actions. And then eventually, he ends up, confronting that in the Green Chapel. Yeah. Oh, man, what a movie.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting I think like almost every step of the journey is a struggle in some way. Like he almost makes the wrong choice every time.
Every time.
Like every time he's doing the wrong thing or he's saying the wrong thing, it's like, oh, I'll flip the coin and I'm good. Well, no, I'm not good. I'm getting tied up and, all my shit's been stolen and, this asshole and these people are just, making fun of me from afar. Like, okay, that didn't work very well. He gets out of it eventually.
The funniest part was when he went to touch the ghost's face. Do you remember that? So there's that ghost girl and
yes. Yeah. Okay.
And he goes to touch her face. She goes, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, there's the. What I was thinking of, and he's like, "Well, what's in it for me?" And she's like, "Well, why would you ask that?" And he's just like, well, I don't know. That's what stands out for me. It was just like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" Like that was like the response. And he's just like, "I don't know. I guess I thought it was a trade. I don't know, man."
That's it.
That's the one that sticks out for me.
He learns about knighthood, or he learns about the important things of what it is to be chivalrous or whatever. You know what I mean? Along his journey.
Right.
And it's...
Yeah. He gets there eventually, but it's a struggle.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Right. He's... that's like the core principle of the story. Right? Like, what is your honor? Earn your honor. And then by the end of the movie... he finds his honor, and it's so gratifying in such a big way. Just
embracing his fate instead of avoiding it and finding, some way out of it, or will this do instead? And,
And then King Arthur tells him in the beginning, I can only, like, the latter parts of this movie are like 3 or 4 weeks away from me, but the beginning of the movie is very prevalent. So I guess it might lend me a unique perspective. I don't know. But in the beginning of the movie, King Arthur tells him, he whispers in his ear, "Remember, this is all a game." And then his mother whispers to him, like, by the end of your journey, you're going to be where you need to be and you'll be safe. I promise you. You know what I mean? And the whole thing was set up by King Arthur and his mom, which is just, it's I don't know, man. It's a beautiful story. It's very well told. And,
I obviously agree with that, but speaking of the game, we're talking about the Green Knight's game. What do you do? What do you do if you're Sir Gawain? You chopping his head off?
I don't think I could chop somebody's head off that just like offers me to chop his head off. I don't think I could do it.
And understanding the game is whatever you do will be returned unto you. So it kind of just seems like
nick him in the neck and then be done with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, be clever. Do the.
But
I don't know.
And see, that's the thing about Sir Gawain.
Not the point. Obviously,
Sir Gawain felt the need to prove himself,
a dramatic gesture, to show that he's a real.
I'm
badass,
worthy.
yeah.
I'm worthy to be here. You know?
Yeah.
I will provide you a story to be told, you know? And he just fucking chops that fucking thing's head off. And yeah. I mean, it's, man, what a story. What a awesome fucking story. Like a awesome parable of a thing. You know what I mean? It's fucking good. It's real good.
It's real good. I only have a couple other little things.
Yeah, what do you got?
And I just want to pick your brain on them because I have thoughts on them, and I just want to see where your headspace is on them. What's your take on the fox? First of all, the fox that kind of sort of follows him around, starts speaking at one point, very jarringly, I must say.
So I'm going a little bit. I'm
right. I guess
I never got to the fox in my. I never got to the fox in my second viewing.
In your second viewing, I get it. Yeah. Because so what I'll say is I almost thought it was like his mother like following along. I felt like his mother was like tracking his quest throughout, because there's the blind woman at the chapel, and I'm like, well, who the fuck is that? Like, what's this lady all about? Like, she's like just there blindfolded, kind of the way that her mom was, his mom was in the beginning, and like she's like watching everything, and I do mean everything that happens at that chapel, and there are some things that happen at that chapel.
Yeah, a little handy action.
Or not, I don't know if the chapel is the right word. The cottage. The cottage is, no, I don't know. I'm looking at the Wikipedia. What the hell do they call it? Castle. At the castle. The castle, there's some shit that goes down in the castle, and that blind woman is there for all of it. And I was just like, okay, she's obviously the one that sparked this whole thing, by trying to, incite him into being a little bit more courageous, maybe more knightly, whatever, like she's trying to like, all right, my son's a little shit. Let me make him do something with his life. And so, I guess I was thinking, like, is she just following him like every step along the way?
So I thought the fox was his mom.
Okay, I got that impression.
I got the fox
while I was watching the
film.
The blindfold lady was more like reading after the fact, because I didn't know what the hell to make of her while I was watching the film. I was just like, this is fucking weird. That's all I could make out while I was watching the film.
Yeah, I would say that at the very least, I would say the fox is his mom. She's guiding him through his journey or whatever, and then when it comes time to confront the Green Knight, she tells him not to.
Right. It's like, it's a mom protecting your child. It's like, okay, I may have started this, but like, okay, you're about to go up there and get your head chopped off. So
it's not only that though. It's like what do they call it? Reverse psychology. That's the word I'm looking for. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's I guess that, yeah, sure.
Kind of a driving force to get him to go. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so he goes
to motivate him, like, oh, fuck you, little fox. I don't have to do what you say. I'm gonna keep on going.
Exactly.
I didn't think about that. Sure.
So I think that the fox, I would think that the fox is her. The blindfolded woman, I'm not quite sure. I could say that it's her, like, maybe, I guess. But like the whole situation in the castle's kind of like weird, right?
Yes.
Yes. I like Joel Edgerton's character says, give me whatever you get within my castle, give to me. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Right.
In that respect, he's supposed to give that lasso of protection, or that belt of protection, or whatever he gets. You know what I mean?
The girdle, according to Wikipedia.
The girdle, yeah. He's supposed to give that girdle protection to him. But he doesn't. He doesn't let him know that he received that. He also doesn't let him receive the fact that he received pleasure from
Sweet release. Sweet release.
sweet relief. Yeah, exactly.
He does not do him the kindness. No, he does not, does he? He gives him a kiss. He's like, that's close enough, right?
So it's a unique thing. I don't think in the written thing he doesn't receive the thing from his mom. He receives it from her. The protection, anyways. He doesn't receive it from his mom in the beginning. He just receives it from her at the end. And so I'm not quite sure how to interpret that, other than the love that he receives in the castle is similar to the love that he receives from his lover at the thing. You know what I mean? Because of the same actress. And I actually, fun fact, I did not know they were the same actress.
Really? The hairstyling got you, or was it the dress? Was it the dress that threw you off?
I think it was the dress. I think it was the dress that threw me off. I didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know. But kudos to her. I think she's a fabulous actress if she's the same person.
She is. She's also a Tomb Raider.
She's also Tomb Raider? No way.
Yeah.
No way, dude. For real?
Yes way. For realsies. Totally for realsies.
Wow. Kudos to her. She fucking crushed that shit, didn't she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kudos to her.
She's also a robot in Ex Machina.
No way!
Maybe,
no!
We already made that connection.
Oh man, my mind is blown. That's all the same actress.
Yep.
Wow.
That's true.
Incredible actress. She needs to be in a lot more. But either way, yeah. I'm not. I don't know about the old woman with the thing, but I definitely think the fox is his mom. So,
okay,
so that's,
all right.
That's what I got.
I'm not totally off base in there. Yeah, I was just.
If I
vibes.
watched it completely, I would have more thoughts for you, but I don't.
Yeah, and honestly, like, this is the film. Like, I think we could spend. Obviously, we've been here for hours. Don't get me wrong, but we could be here for hours talking about the film very specifically. Like, well, what did you think about X, and what did you think about Y, and what did you think about Z? And it's like, I think it's a film that's kind of deliberately left open for interpretation on certain aspects of it.
It's better for it.
It's not designed to be a closed book. Like, everything is spoon-fed to you and you get it. And I think that obviously is partially why it's a very kind of niche type of film that's going to work for you or it's not going to work for you, is because you're either going to get it and like it, or you're going to not get it and be fine with that, or you're going to not get it and fucking detest every second that you spent watching it and rail about it on the internet. Like, I know, for me, I didn't get every aspect of it, but I got enough that I enjoyed what I got, and I was intrigued enough to just be like, well, what was that all about? And I talked to Anna about it a few times, a few different aspects of it, and I think that she agreed with me on some and had kind of different interpretations on other things, and that, it's kind of the fun of it.
It makes it fun, right? That's totally good. Yeah,
not having it, laid out for you. And like, there's nothing wrong with things being laid out and things being plain and obvious, and I think that can be taken to a certain extreme where it's just like bashing you over the head with flashbacks that you saw from 5 minutes before to explain something. Like, I don't need that in my life. But, you can certainly have a movie that is told from A to Z that just totally makes sense and there's no questions by the end of it. This is not that, and that's fine. But I appreciate having both. I wouldn't want every film to be exactly the same, and this is a film that stands apart because it isn't exactly the same, and that's fun. I liked that. So yeah, anyway, I don't know if I have any other immediate plot things that come to mind. Like I said, there's probably little pieces, especially if we had both seen it more recently, that we could be like, well, what about this? What about that? But I'm content to hang it up unless you have some other thoughts on The Green Knight. I think the bottom line is it's great. It leaves you thinking. There's plenty that you can talk about. I would say if there's any little aspect of it that needs further conversation, certainly email us, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. I'd be happy to do a little sidebar on a future episode and talk about it in a little bit more depth. But otherwise, I plan to pick it up when it comes out and rewatch it then, or released around then, and appreciate it then. So that's kind of my thoughts on the Green Knight. Pretty happy with it, must say. Pretty happy with it. So what about you? Any other final thoughts?
No,
Spoilers?
no final thoughts,
Otherwise,
man. I'd be happy to talk about it to anybody that ever wants to talk about it.
Yeah. It doesn't always have to be a recorded conversation, you know? Anyone just comes up, says, I want to buy this car. But more importantly, I want to talk about a little film I saw called The Green Knight.
I would say, no shit, let's go into the office. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it out in the fucking 90-degree heat.
Let's go talk. It's too fucking hot out here. It's too hot out here for this shit. We're gonna be here for a long time. Let's go in the air conditioning.
That's it.
All right. Well, that concludes our coverage of The Green Knight, at least for now anyway. So, what you been up to? You been up to anything exciting over the past week and a half, couple of weeks since we talked about the Suicide Squad?
So let me think about it. I've started a show called Demon Hunter.
On the recommendation of one Enrique Jaime,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
I would say that I would recommend that show as well, from what little bit I've watched.
Okay, cool.
I think it's cool. There's plenty of cool shit that happens.
How are you watching it? Is it on Netflix?
Netflix. I watched it on Netflix. There's season 1 on Netflix. From what he's told me, there's also a movie. I think they also have a video game or something. I'm not quite sure. But anyways, I'm just watching season 1, nice and simple. It's on Netflix. I've also started a. So let me start this over. I've got eyeglasses now.
Yeah,
I can see fucking everything now. I will say that. I can read street signs from a mile and a half away. Like, I feel like super...
It's a revelation?
Yes. Some people say, well, I find it hard to wear my eyeglasses. Well, I don't find it hard to wear mine, because when I wear mine, I can see everything. So I wear mine pretty frequently. Like them. Started reading a book after I got my eyeglasses called The Way of Kings. I've had this book on high recommendation from you.
Probably other places as well.
From I think Enrique's read it as well.
Yeah.
Also, Dan and also Steven have both. They both listened to the book. Okay. Steven has a very incredible leather-bound copy of this book. It's fucking beautiful. It's leather-bound. Yeah. It's got like golden gilded pages. Like like the book 1 is 2 books, leather-bound with golden gilded pages. It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful book I've ever seen, actually, to be completely honest. He got it from like a GoFundMe or something, and it's absolutely fucking incredible. Anyways, Theo chewed up my book, so it looks very much like my Game of Thrones. Yeah, looks like my Game of Thrones from forever ago.
Anytime you read it, just is going to get destroyed. It's inevitable.
Yeah, exactly. So I measure the goodness of a book based on how tore up my hard copy gets, and this hard copy is pretty tore up. So anyways, I'm reading it. Made a devotion to myself to try to read this book versus listen to it. We'll see how far I get. I'm through the prelogue, and I think I'm through chapter 3, I think. Anyways, it's very good. It seems very good. It seems like an easy read. It's easy for me to get into, which is cool for like an over 1,000-page book.
Yeah, I don't think the writing style is anything too challenging.
No,
I think
it's
pretty. There's a lot of forward momentum, I think, in terms of the writing. I think that the story itself takes some time to develop the characters and the overarching plot, but yeah, I think it's an easy read. It's just a lot to get through.
It's a lot to get through. From what Dan and Steven have told me, the the magic systems of this of the it's not, god damn it, what's it called?
Cosmere, Stormlight. I don't know.
Yeah. This isn't the Cosmere. The Cosmere is a different series of books from what I've been told.
Well,
but
it's
Stormlight Archive
that Sanderson has done, but this is very specifically the Stormlight Archive that Sanderson is writing.
So he, from what Steven has told me, is the Stormlight Archive, the magic systems that are established in the book are very much established, and they're rooted within like a deep understanding of how things work. So when a character starts doing something that requires a lot of effort, it might take 2 chapters for them to do it. And then the climaxes of each individual story are huge climaxes. And they end on such an epic note that they're worth taking the time to get into. And that made me very, very excited. The fact that everyone that I've ever known that's read Stormlight Archive books or Brandon Sanderson books is very much involved in it. They get very excited about it. That makes me very excited about it. So I started reading it. Yeah, and shit's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
It's pretty cool.
It seems pretty cool.
You got a lot to get through, but it does start off with a bang. Like the prelude is like, all right, I don't know what the hell's going on here. It's only a few pages. Put it to the side. The prologue is really where, the assassination. Like that's I think when shit is really cool.
It's pretty cool. It starts breathing fucking flames from the fucking lanterns and kicking ass and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Mm-hmm. I'll take that. That's some cool shit. No, like, why isn't that a movie? I'd take that shit in a movie real quick.
I when I read these books, I envision it as that's how I visualize it, as like how I would block it for either a film or a show of some sort. It's just like, how would I bring this to life? And I find it entertaining. Just be like,
you and I are the same, sir.
This is the TV show in my head. Like obviously we host a podcast about movies and TV shows. It's not about books. That's for a reason. Like I think we're just visually oriented people, and so like even when I'm reading something that is like I'm visually consuming it, I guess in a way by reading it, but I translate that into this is how this looks, in my head. Like that's how I enjoy it. That's how I experience
pretty cool. It. Oh, anyways, when I read it, looks
it's
pretty
fucking
cool.
Coolest thing ever in my head. Yeah,
yeah, it's cool. So I started reading that. I watched the Demon Hunter or whatever it is.
Slayer.
Yeah, Demon Slayer.
Hunter.
I also watched the Witcher. The Witcher show.
What's it called? The movie, the prequel movie or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. With Vasimir. Fuck. I can't remember it. I can't remember anything.
Is it something of the wolf or
yes, Nightmare of the Wolf? I think it's
Nightmare of the Wolf.
I think
that sounds right. I think that's right.
I think that's what it is.
It's close enough that people can Google it and fill in the gaps.
It's on Netflix.
We're mostly there.
It's an animated style show. It is 110% Castlevania with a different IP,
which is probably fine, right?
Totally fine. Totally took it. Very cool. Witches are cool. And that's that. Some cool shit happens in that show. It's an hour and a half anime show. If you're into that, definitely recommend it. Other than that, I finished Dune. I listened to Dune. Did we talk about this before?
I think you talked about it on the last episode, but I don't think you had finished it. I could be wrong.
So I finished it. I finished Dune. I listened to it in preparation for the epic cinematic masterpiece, which will be Denis Villeneuve's Dune.
Dennis Villeneuve.
Yes. I am more hyped about this movie dare I say, more than Star Wars. Like I think that this, what we have coming in October, which I've reserved a hotel room in Orlando, which I didn't reserve it. Sarah reserved it for my birthday, but I got a hotel room. I've got my favorite IMAX theater on point. I've got my favorite restaurant on point, and I will be experiencing this movie when it comes out in October in the fullest of fashions. And I words cannot express how excited I am for this movie.
Yeah,
I was excited for The Green Knight. Yes, everybody knows I was excited for The Green Knight, but Dune is like a whole nother level of excitement. I think that the book, like the raw materials of this novel, lend itself exceptionally well to modern sensibilities and stuff for film, and I think, man, with the cast that they have going for them. And I just think that it's going to be an exceptionally awesome film. And I'm very glad to have completed the novel. There's like a trilogy, I think, that they have with the novels, the Frank Herbert stuff.
Yeah.
And it gets...
There's a few, yeah.
Yeah, it gets really out there with like the stuff that happens and stuff. I'm not so sure that I need to dive into that. I think that the first novel gives me everything I need to. I wanted to read the novel to experience the film in the fullest like frame of reference. And I don't think I need to dive into the deeper universe of Dune in order to experience that. So, we'll see what happens after October. If that's the case, I'll dive into it. I've got some spoilers on this stuff, and it gets really out there. If that's the case, I'll dive into it. But if not, I'll be content to be where I'm at. So we'll see where the first. I think it's set out to be a two-piece show, two-piece movie. Is that right?
I think that's the idea. Yeah, is two movies that would cover the entirety of the first novel.
I'd be content with that, depending on how they finish it up. But like I said, I watched the trailer. I was predisposed to be interested in the universe of Dune. But I listened to the novel solely because I was incredibly impressed with the trailers that I got with Dune. So, if I need to dive deeper after I watch the movie in October, then I will. But if not, then I won't. So, that's my feelings on that. But I think other than that, it's been about it.
Cool.
What you got?
What do I got? A few things. Talked about Home Sweet Home at the top, which is to say that I've been out of town for a while. I spent about a week and a half up in Vermont, which was really nice. It's hot up there, as it's hot, I'm sure, down there. It was very humid while I was up there.
It's hot. It's hot in Vermont.
It's definitely hot. It's hot in both places, I'm sure. The problem, I think, is that there was no air conditioning basically anywhere we went up there. Usually it's like good. Usually it's like fine outside, so you don't really need it. Obviously in Florida, it's a different story. It's so fucking hot all the goddamn time that if you didn't have air conditioning, everyone would just die of heat exhaustion all the time. So it was like 95% humidity all the time. It was Florida up there, but like they don't know how to handle that sort of thing is kind of how it turned out. But I will say, that aside, we had some nice beach days in there, which was really fun. I got some reading in. I think I got through close to 200 pages in Words of Radiance, which is the sequel to Way of Kings. I'm almost done with a part of that. I'll wait until I finish that part, and then I'll offer some fuller thoughts moving forward. But I'm back into it, which is great because the bar exam, studying for the bar exam, broke my brain, and I didn't want to read for fun and all that good stuff. So it was nice being up there. I met a lot of Anna's extended family, cousins, second cousins, third cousins.
Wow.
A lot. It was a lot, and that's how it usually is up there. There's a lot of people coming in from out of town and hanging out. And then last year we didn't do that because it was last year. It was 2020. So I got the full experience this year. And it was good. We spent a lot of time, like I said, on the beach, just hanging out, drinking beer. We went on a boat one day, which was fun. Did a couple of breweries, and I had a cooked lobster one day.
Nice,
which was nice. It was good. It was good. It was really good. It was just fun. It was nice to get away. At a certain point, like, all right, I've gotten my fill. I need to be back home, but I did enjoy it while we were up there. So it was fun to be away for a bit. I am thankful to be back and be able to do the normal things that I enjoy doing. But before we left, actually, there's a few movies I'll shout out that we have watched that I want to talk about. Before we left, actually, for Vermont, we had watched a movie called Dead Poets Society with one Robin Williams. Have you seen that film?
I have not seen that film.
So he's he plays an English teacher at like a prestigious institution, like a private school, and he encourages his students to be free thinkers. And it's a school that is very much priding themselves on the right way to learn things to get everyone prepped for college and blah blah blah. And this is a teacher that kind of challenges the norms and stuff like that, and kind of gets the kids to think for themselves and not just blindly follow everything. Carpe diem is an expression I'm sure you've heard, and it's kind of riffing on that. Seize the day is the loose translation of it. As Anna puts it, and I'll probably butcher this, it's not so much seize the day as in YOLO, it's more like smell the roses and enjoy them, like as you something like that.
Okay.
But it was good. Obviously Robin Williams, the late great Robin Williams, was fantastic in it. And it was good. It's not a uplifting film. It's one that Anna had seen and then she'd been wanting me to watch it for the longest time, and so I finally did. And it's really good cast. It's a young Ethan Hawke. And
I like Ethan Hawke a whole lot.
Yeah, he's great. Robert Sean Leonard, which I don't know if you ever watched House, but he was like House's friend, Dr. Wilson, and that's like the only reference point that I have for him. But he was really good. He's like kind of one of the kids. I think it's an '80s movie, maybe late '80s, mid '80s, something like that. Yeah, it was good. We had bought the Blu-ray. It was like $5 on Amazon. We bought it a little while back because we wanted to watch it, or she wanted me to watch it, I guess, more accurately. But it was really good. So I recommend it. Like I said, it's not a super uplifting movie. Got to be ready for it, but it's worth a watch. While we were up in Vermont, we did watch something that I had never seen. It's very much up my alley, but we had been talking about for a while as well, and that was Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner.
No way!
I had not seen it before in my life, and I'm Mr. Baseball, of course, and I just one of those baseball movies that I had never seen. It was timely because MLB did the Field of Dreams game this year. I don't know if you paid attention to any of that, but the Yankees and the White Sox, they set up a game in Iowa, like the cornfield stadium they basically built up, which was really cool. And it was a crazy ass game. Like the Yankees were about to win it, came back, and the White Sox, I think, ended up winning in the bottom of the ninth. It's been weeks now since it happened, but it was a really cool kind of setup, and I watched part of it. And so I watched the movie. And so it's a damn fine film. It's a damn fine film.
There was like a huge discussion on Facebook whether or not The Field of Dreams was like a good movie or not.
It's a good movie. I think we can say that.
It's
right?
a good movie, and it's actually the Congress accepted it as like a culturally impactful movie.
Okay, yeah, I know they do that every so often. It's good. It's less of a baseball movie exactly, I think, than I would have expected it to be. It's really just about Kevin Costner's is he just a crazy asshole, or but
if you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come. or he will come. I think he will come. I think there's a, I think that's the point of it is he will come. But yeah,
good movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good movie. It was good. I was not what I expected it to be, is what I'll say about it, but in a good way. I like it. I guess I managed to remain spoiler free on it for my whole life.
That's
for the
incredible.
Most part. Like,
I can't believe you never watched
obviously,
that movie.
I know what it is and I knew what it was about, but I think because of so many of those expectations kind of bleeding in, I really did think it was going to be like, well, everyone thinks he's crazy for an hour and a half, but then everyone shows up at the end and he's vindicated. And it was just like, no, like 15 minutes in, he's built the field and like he sees Shoeless Joe or whatever it is, like 20 minutes in. I'm just like, okay, this is a different movie than I expected. And it's got James Earl Jones, so can't go wrong with James Earl Jones being in your movie too.
Of course not. No.
But yeah, it was good. Ray Liotta playing Shoeless Joe. It's good stuff. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And the last movie I watched, which I watched last night, was the classic film Holes, which you probably haven't seen in some years, if I had to guess. About old Stanley Yelnats. Stanley Yelnats. Fucking Shia LaBeouf. It said introducing Shia LaBeouf, and I think at the beginning of the end, I'm like, oh my God, how old is this fucking film? I think it was 2003. We looked it up. I haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure, since 2003. But I remembered aspects of it. I knew it was like Zero, and like there's like that warden. She's got like something to do with a rattlesnake. I forgot about John Voight, who has this ridiculous sideburns in it. And he's just a ridiculous asshole the whole movie. God damn it, what's his face? Tim Blake Nelson. Tim Blake Nelson was in it as well, and he was very funny. He's like the doctor, psychiatrist, whatever. It was pretty funny. Like, it holds up, honestly. Like, it's pretty good. There's some awful ass CGI in it. Obviously it's close to 20 years old at this point. What are you going to do? But I did think that it held up overall. I was pretty entertained by it. Like, I think I said at one point in Anna, it was like 1 something in the morning. I was just like, I can't watch this whole thing tonight. I think we paused it at one point and then we started again, and we just ended up watching the whole thing in one night. Like, it was just like one brief pause in the middle. Just kind of got sucked into it. I don't know. I was just really
Sigourney
entertained
Weaver's
by it,
in it.
Sigourney Weaver, she's the warden. Yeah, it's John Voight. It's a good cat. It's a really good cat. Like a few like kind of surprising names in there that like probably didn't mean shit to me when I was a kid, but now I'm just like, oh, it's so and so. I did remember Sigourney Weaver being in it.
Tim Blake Nelson. That's the guy that played Chrome Mask or whatever.
Yeah, and Watchmen. Right, exactly. So like I said, there were some names that like didn't mean anything to me back in the day, but watching it now, it's like, oh, that guy's great, or she's great, and it's awesome. Was it Patricia Arquette is kissing? I forgot. She's like the outlaw woman. I don't know. It was cool. It's fun. It's just like, I remember reading the book when I was a kid. I remember seeing the movie around the time that it came out. And like, I liked it. I remember liking it, but it had just been so long since I revisited it. And there was like a lot of things that I definitely didn't remember. Oh, Dule Hill, who I didn't know anything about him back in the day, but he was a main character on The West Wing. So that was fun seeing him in this. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, it was good. It was good fun. Holes was pretty good. It's on Disney Plus. So that's how we watched it.
Okay.
But anyway, other than that, we've been watching a lot of Chuck. Finished season 3. It's pretty good. Not as good as season 2, but it was fun. But season 4, we're almost done with season 4, and we're really, really enjoying season 4. And I've seen it multiple times, to be fair. This is my first time this far into it, but really, really like season 4 of Chuck. That's on Amazon Prime if anyone wants to watch it and deal with their shit ass fucking user interface. But what are you gonna do? But yeah, that's what I've been up to. I know we have been running long, and I said this the last episode and put off the listener's corner, but I do want to do a brief additional listener's corner, and then maybe we'll pick it up and have a couple more entries for the next one, so we're not spreading it out too much. So Bruce Brown wrote in over a month ago, and I forgot to include it last episode until it was too late, but I want to put in at least a brief listener's corner here because there's at least a few things that we can touch on that we've already touched on this episode, so it ties in thematically. So the first one is Bosch, season 7, the final season, as we've established. He says it was overall very good. Really didn't like the ending, though, which is kind of surprising. He says not sure how it lines up with the book series, as he hasn't read any of them. But overall, still good acting, good writing, compelling police drama, and one of the better ones on, because God knows there are plenty of them. And his final quote on Bosch is to quote Lance Reddick, who is the chief of police, fucking Bosch. And I'm sure I'm not doing that justice at all, given that I also haven't seen any of Bosch, but I've heard good things. Even outside of this, I've heard good things. So yeah, Bosch, 7 seasons for you to catch up on and deliver your monologues on. And then he also touched on Ted Lasso, which I know I talked about at one point. He said they're almost done with season 1 on Apple TV Plus. Didn't know what to expect, but it's excellent. Put it as top-notch, must-see, moves fast, is relatable, is funny, quick-witted, thumbs up. So that's a pretty high recommendation on Ted Lasso, and I've heard that everywhere. And it's I think it's probably the next one up for Anna and I whenever we finish up with Chuck, is to roll into Ted Lasso maybe. So the other one that I'll throw out, the last one, I never heard of this. It's on Netflix apparently. It's a documentary called How to Be a Tyrant. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've heard of that.
It's narrated by Peter Dinklage, who he says is excellent, and says seems weird, but he describes it. It's a 6-part series on the quote-unquote playbook to be a tyrant, about the education, calls it a bit scary, and says it looks at some of the more famous tyrants, mass murderers, Stalin, Hitler, Idi Amin, Saddam Hussein, and some others, just others in parentheses. So doesn't cover Trump, as he points out. I don't think he quite reached tyrant level, even if he wanted to. So anyway, it does sound pretty interesting, I will say. So I'll leave it at that. He's got a few more entries, but I'll save those for another episode, because I know Andrew's probably got a bed to lay in and get some sleep in. So we've been here for a while. We've been going at it for a while, talking some news, Green Knight, and all the good stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's I think what's going on. I think we can go ahead and wrap it up. All right. So there, if that's good for you, I'm sure it is. But I'm just clarifying.
I gotta go to bed.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. If you want to support us on Patreon and keep me alive, as Andrew established, patreon.com/watchreview-repeat is great. You can get early access to any of our regular episodes, as well as time-exclusive access to any maybe bonus episodes that maybe we'll do. Hey, I mean, shit, man, I got plenty of time for them.
Rocketeer. So, I think it's going to be the next one.
Rocketeer, Ghostbusters, good things on the horizon, perhaps. So, yeah, check it out. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at WRRPod. You can like our Facebook page. Just search for Watch Review Repeat. You should be able to find it. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, you want to talk some details of the Green Knight, send those our way. You've got some other things that you've been up to in terms of the Listener's Corner. We'll do another edition of that on a future episode. Just send it our way, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. And I think we don't have a firm idea of what our next episode will be. What I can say is that Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is coming out very, very soon, i.e. within a few days of recording. So I will be seeing it. I'm sure Andrew will be seeing it at some point.
I will be seeing it as well, yeah.
So that's certainly something we'd like to cover. Free Guy came out a couple weeks ago with Ryan Reynolds, got some pretty good reviews. I would like to see that at some point. I don't know if we'll be able to cover it, but, we'll be covering something on the next episode. Probably not next week, but on the next episode. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what we cover, but we'll be back before long, and we'll catch you then. So, Andrew, why don't you take us out?
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Laters on the Minche.